But beyond that, the 49ers dominated this game, and that's what you love to see.
To quote the late, great Gene Wilder, "We're alive! We're alive!" The playoff hopes are alive. It feels like right now with San Francisco going to be tied for first place in the NFC West. I know it was ugly. It wasn't pretty, but Malik Mustafa, Renardo Green, young DBs getting takeaways, Nick Bosa dominating the offense, finally getting the ball in the end zone, in the red zone on back-to-back drives to put this game away. Get the monkey off your back, boys. It feels like maybe there's a tide turning. You don't want to overreact, but at least in this moment, a breath of fresh air for San Francisco. I feel really good right now, as did everybody else.
Yeah, 36-24 right now. Final minute in Seattle. The Seahawks trying their last gasp. They got to get in the end zone. They got to try an onside kick. Then they got to score another touchdown. It's a 12-point game, so no field goals. Got to be 2 touchdowns for Seattle. So it is essentially all but over unless every single play goes against the 49ers the rest of the way. And I don't want to say that that's...
Are we ruling it out?
I don't want to say that that's terribly far from possible considering how this season has gone so far. But we're going to spend the rest of the night here with you guys on Overtime on 95.7 The Game. Again, It's Grandy, Kyle, and Sterling with you. Fred Warner almost coming up with an interception to put the finishing touches on this game. Just tipped off his fingertips. We'll let you know when the game does officially go final. But you can line up your phone calls. Get them in. It's Overtime here on a Thursday on 95.7 The Game. 888-957-9570. We'll also keep an eye on the Comcast Business text line. The Niners are a moments away from getting a win and improving to 3-3 on the season, and they will be, for the moment, first place in the NFC West because they will have the tiebreaker with the Seattle Seahawks by way of this win. But guys, it was not pretty for the vast majority of this game, despite the fact that you led by 20 points early in the third quarter. It was a one-score game going into the fourth, and the Seahawks had the ball with a chance to take the lead at one point in the fourth quarter as well. The Niners defense stood up and got a stop there. The comeback began for the Seahawks on a 97-yard Laviska Shenault kickoff return for a touchdown. Special teams continues to be a problem. The red zone offense was the reason why this wasn't a 30-point lead at one point in the second half. They're settling for field goals still. Matthew Wright, by the way, the new kicker, perfect tonight. No complaints there. The fact that they needed to use him as many times as they did, that's a bad thing. But the Niners, as it currently stands right now, guys, you're not in the business of nitpicking a win. You will take a win on Thursday night on the road, division opponent, any way you can get it. I mean, the Niners are notorious for not winning in Seattle. You'll take an ugly win in Seattle, and this is what this is going to turn out to be as the Niners get a sack at Geno Smith. Now 35 seconds left in the game.
I don't know if this was ugly. I think maybe the lighting was just bad for a second. That happens.
Fair. It was for stretches. It was very pretty, but when it wasn't pretty, it was.
Would you like to see them play perfect and beat the Seahawks 36-10? Yeah, 100%. That's where you hope to get. But at this point in October, this team that is notoriously bad in October, under 500 in October under Kyle Shanahan, over 500 comfortably in every other month. You'll take it this way. They had a bad third quarter, aided in part by another special teams calamity, which we can get to. But at this point, man, I think you'll be happy with the fact that they mostly dominated this game. And the bigger deal is in the Rams game, in the Cardinals game, it was like, okay, they need this play right here. If they make this play, it's over. And then they wouldn't make it on either side of the ball. And tonight they did it over and over and over and over again to help close out that game. That's a really, really encouraging win because they didn't collapse. They could have fallen into dust when it became a 6-point game and Seattle had the ball in the third quarter.
You kind of feel it.
Or in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That could have ended badly. And they galvanized. And that to me is a huge season-changing win here.
Really quickly, Sterling, before you jump in, the Seahawks have turned the ball over on downs, so this game is officially over. The Niners will take one knee, and they will improve to 3-3 on the season. A gritty win, Sterling, one you had to have, and they got the job done.
There was a point in this game where I'm sure every Niner fan said, I have seen this too many times this year. I've seen this exact game twice in the past month or so. I don't want to see it again. How is this team going to respond? And like Kyle said, it was getting off the field on third downs defensively. Nick Bosa was a game wrecker in this one. He annihilated that Seattle Seahawks offensive line on both tackles. Didn't matter in the run, in the pass. Renardo Green's pick, Isaac Guerendo's 76-yard run to ice this game essentially, and Kyle Juszczyk capping things off. But there was a point in time where I said, look, San Francisco, you got to look into the abyss. Where do you want your season to go? You want to be 2-4? You want to fumble another fourth quarter lead? Be like J-Lo and say enough. I got to push back, and I got to make some plays. My goodness, they made some plays, man. They pushed back, and they took it to Seattle. Again, you scored 36 points on the road. You're back to 500. You are, for the time being, first place in the NFC West, which a week ago felt like it was so far away, like it was never going to happen. But by all intents and purposes, and now your reality, you can breathe. You're back to 500. Yes, you got Kansas City in 10 days. Great. Off a victory, get rested, get healthy, heck of a win, boys, and you hope everyone's good to go in 2 Sundays now because your schedule gets tougher. You had to get this game in San Francisco, answered the call.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is on the schedule next. We can get into that a little bit later on in the night. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes, the undefeated Kansas City Chief. Maybe they won't be undefeated by the time they come to Santa Clara. We will find out, but we can dive more into that in a little bit. Sterling, you mentioned the 36 points the offense put up. That's obviously an incredible number. Debo Samuel had a touchdown, a 76-yard touchdown catch in the first half. George Kittle, only 5 catches for 58 yards, but 2 touchdowns. He came through in big moments. You mentioned the Isaac Guerendo 76-yard run to help seal the game. He finished with 99 yards. Of course,
that's my boy.
76 of those 99 came on 1 of his 10 carries. Jordan Mason essentially played only the first half. We're going to get an update from Kyle Shanahan about his injured shoulder. Shanahan said at halftime to the Amazon crew that he's, quote, good to go, had 1 carry for 8 yards, and then did not return to the field after that, so he was not good to go. Patrick Taylor got some run. Hello, nice to introduce yourself on the regular season stage. We will talk about all of that. But guys, for me, maybe the most encouraging sign for this one and what you guys are talking about in terms of responding to the adversity and finally closing out a game and getting that feeling back on your sideline, that's big. But man, for me, it was the defense. Yeah. The defense was awesome. You're going up against the Seahawks team. Geno Smith leading the NFL in passing yards through 5 weeks. They have got a legit triple threat at wide receiver with Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and DK Metcalf. And you found out an hour and a half before kickoff that you were going to be down your top corner. And there's already all these issues with you in the run game. And they got a 2-headed attack at running back with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. And you were about to give up 3 points through essentially maybe 3 quarters until a kickoff return for a touchdown gave the Seahawks their first touchdown and kind of jump-started their offense. 3 points allowed by the defense through 2+ quarters, and who knows, if that kickoff return doesn't happen, maybe the Seahawks never even sniffed the end zone because that kind of turned this game around. I was so impressed by this defense. You guys shouted out Nick Bosa. Maybe he doesn't pop in the stat sheet today, but man, he was everywhere in this game. Fred Warner, just pristine punches of footballs. The tackle he made on, I think it was a Zach Charbonnet screen where he split 2 offensive linemen rushing at him and stopped him short of a first down. Absolutely incredible. The Niners defense, we can talk all we want about the 36 points, and that was obviously great to see. The defense was awesome against a really good offense in the Seattle Seahawks.
There were points tonight, and Sterling already shouted out the rookies, Malik Mustafa and Renardo Green getting their first interceptions. I can think of Deommodore Lenoir pass breakups or just tight coverage.
He was good too, yeah.
I can think of at least one Isaac Yadam pass breakup. He had back-to-back plays in single coverage against DK Metcalf where he came up with incompletions. George Odom had a couple of pass breakups coming in for Mustafa, who went out with the ankle injury. It was just across the board on a night where, man, Charvarius Ward's out. They're going to need some dudes to step up. It was a collective effort. And that's just massive to see because it felt like we weren't seeing that. It felt like game in and game out. It's like, well, nice game for that guy, but where was player X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
And this is the exact kind of game they needed, where it's top to bottom. This is such a cliche. I'm so sorry, but you talk about team win. Like that's what this was for me with their A players playing like A players.
Well, take that further. Please. On games where the offense is playing well, the defense isn't playing well. On times when the defense is playing great, the offense can't score. In most games, special teams has sucked. Whereas in this game, it wasn't great. 97-yard touchdown return by Laviska Shenault, but Darrell Luter Jr., who wasn't even going to be active for this game, forces a fumble on a kick return early in this one to get the ball back.
Great point.
People were stepping up. The guys that you're saying, okay, who's going to make a play? I could argue this is San Francisco's most cohesive game of the year so far, coming in the most important game of the season for them so far, headed into the biggest stretch of the season for them so far. Like, San Francisco had to come into tonight and take care of business, but it wasn't just get the win. Yeah, of course you had to get it, but it's like this game on defense, on offense, in the red zone, you start to see these sparks come to life and go, that's the team we used to be last year. That's the San Francisco that we used to know pre-Christian McCaffrey. And you start to see it come together and you're hoping, okay, great, once you get guys back, Pearsall might come back next week. McCaffrey might come back in November. Start to put things together. I know it was an ugly beginning to the year, but in this game, you started to see sparks of 2023 San Francisco 49er play.
Yeah, and I think what's important as well is, a divisional game on the road, prime time, Thursday, everyone's going out there, probably not feeling anywhere close to their best, and that's the case on both sides. But this is the kind of win I can imagine what the scene is like in the locker room right now. This is the kind of win that kind of can get a team feeling themselves and getting them going a little bit. And this team was desperately in need of that. Bar none, this team just needed a win. But this kind of win, if you could ask for the kind of win you wanted, you might honestly pick one where you felt good about yourself, you were dominating, you kind of felt like the old Niners again, you got punched in the mouth, and then you responded, and you got that win, and you close it out down the stretch, because that's the kind of win that can kind of jumpstart you, and you get that feeling back, and at that point, it kind of becomes insatiable, and it's easier to get it back time and time and time again. It doesn't even matter what the opposing roster is. In Seattle, night game, it's never going to be easy. Dude. And you got it done. Yeah. You've lost to so many Seahawks teams that were not as good as this one. This is a quality Seahawks team. There was a reason why they were first place in the NFC West up to this point. Now they've lost 3 straight games, and we can talk more about how this season might go. But they're quality. They're a quality football team. But this is the kind of win that can catapult you to better things in the future as well.
Yeah, I think there's gray area with this. First of all, pin in that for just a second. It's so nice to talk about a win with you guys. This is so nice.
Finally.
This is fantastic.
While, right? Was this week 1?
Yeah, the vibes are great. Yeah, this is the first time we've talked about a win all together since week 1.
Oh man.
Anyways, we can sit here and we can nitpick these wins and how they're winning and this and that. And if this was a Sunday afternoon against the New England Patriots and they were up 20 in the third quarter and it got to 6, then we can go, man, what went wrong in that game? Okay, cool. They put them away. They were supposed to, but what went wrong? Mark, you just said it. Short week on the road, division game, a place that, they beat Seattle 5 times in a row, but it historically has been a house of horrors for them. And a spot where Charvarius Ward is out and George Kittle's been banged up during the week, and Fred Warner's been banged up during the week. Talanoa Hufanga's out. It was a spot where, man, this could unravel pretty quick. You'll just take a W however you can get it. And so for it to get away for 14 minutes there in the third quarter, not even that, 10 minutes there in the third quarter, I think you'll take that, all things considered. Like, Sterling, I don't know about it. It felt like, for the most part, as you kind of go back through that game, that they dominated outside of that stretch of, like I said, 10 minutes where they return the kickoff for a touchdown, get a stop, score another touchdown. And then after that, it was all Niners once again.
But even after that, too, like, the defense got going again. There were still pivotal third downs on that drive that some penalties helped Seattle, some penalties helped San Francisco. Like, it wasn't perfect by any means, but again, the Niners defense tonight, I thought, you walk in short week, you don't have Javon Hargrave, you don't have Jordan Elliott, your defensive line is kind of decimated. All you have is Bosa and Leonard Floyd, and you're like, one of you guys got to step up. I hope it's Bosa, and he obviously was great tonight, but you're asking for someone, lead me to the promised land and get us this win. And, there's so many big plays made in this game that altered the outcome early, especially. San Francisco pounced early, where it could have been a rough going. It could have came in tired, broken, bruised, demoralized on the road. You could have came in with your head down. San Francisco said, nope, heads up, and we're going to run it right through Seattle's defense. They lost to the Giants. We are going to show them exactly how bad of a team they actually are, push them down to 3 straight losses, get yourself your first NFC West win. And honestly, you now look at Seattle, they lose 3 straight games. They're now demoralized. You push your opponent now you're tied with down even further. This is a game that it definitely switches momentum, not just in-game with big plays, but overall in the NFC West. This is a momentumous shift for San Francisco.
Well, if you had lost this game, you would have been 2-4. You would have been 0-3 in the division. You would have been 0-4 in the conference.
Come on.
I know the theme all week, once you get past the disappointment of the Cardinals loss on Sunday, the theme all week was, whoa, is this a must-win game? Technically, no, because if they lose, they're still in the race. But really, it should be a must-win game because of all the reasons I just let out. You had to win this game. If you lose this game, you're saying goodbye to a top 3 seed in the NFC, and you might be saying goodbye to the division. It's not easy to dig out of a 2-4 hole and an 0-3 hole in the division. This was a game you absolutely had to have. I don't care about any of the mathematical BS. Miss me with all of that. This was a game you had to freaking have by any means necessary. Would I rather it be a 40-0 win than a 1-point win? Yes. Sure. Bottom line, you just need a win, and they got the job done. It does not matter if it felt good, if you looked good doing it, and at times they looked really darn good. Other times they did not look very good. I mean, you were talking about Sterling the first half when they came out and punched the Seahawks in the mouth. They kind of half punched them in the mouth. You could have been up by 25 points 10 minutes into this game if you just could figure out your red zone offense, for goodness sake. Yeah. I mean, there's plenty to be excited about. There's still a lot that needs to be corrected and worked on. But guys, the bottom line is they desperately needed a win. And for the first time this year, they won a game that was a game in the fourth quarter. Yes. For the first time. They were 0-3 up to this point. When a game was in the balance in the fourth quarter, they got their first win when it was a coin flip.
Hey, can our guy Isaac Arendo just go in the end zone next time? Kyle Juszczyk gets a TD instead. Come on. Sorry, they were just showing the replay.
What, did you have a lottery ticket on a Garendo touchdown?
I just feel bad for Sterling's guy. No, but here's the whole must win thing. I was on that. I was very much like this is, and here's how you know it was. Because they win that game, and we're talking, man, sigh of relief, first place in the NFC West, galvanizing win. They did all the things they needed to do, potentially season-changing win. Can you imagine what this show would have been like if they had smoked a 20-point lead in the third quarter and lost that game?
Oh, my God.
I don't want to say
divorced my wife.
I was...
Wow. Is she listening? Could she hear that?
She's over there on the couch. She didn't hear me.
No, but I don't want to say we. I was out there like, yo, if they lose this game, clean house. Seriously, get rid of it. Just clear it out. This is clearly dumb. And
then the question
clearly dumb.
And then the question was, what does that mean? And you said, I don't care, everybody.
Just forfeit. Cut everybody. Fire
the team.
I was right, but that's where the conversation would have been had they lost this game. There would be no, even into Friday and then into Monday. We would have had a whole week of talking about the 49ers and this game and this loss, and there would have been no points where you go, all right, well, yeah, they're 2-4, but all you got to do, you got to get this win against the Chiefs. And just heads up real quick, Mark, the Chiefs are on a bye.
Yeah. Oh, they will be undefeated. You're right.
They're on a bye.
Yeah. They'll be 5-0.
So you go, okay, well, hey, they're 2-4. Are you going to do who's next? Okay, Patrick Mahomes. That's it. Okay, yeah. Just got it would have been.
And then you have the Cowboys, who are also off a bye, by the way.
Right. It would have been a freaking calamity if they had lost this game, dude. And there would have been no sugarcoating it. There would have been no, okay, well, now you're looking okay because then if you win out, you're 13-4, and that's if you win out. And they weren't going to do that. So this was a must win, and they did. And it was clear they approached it like that. How many times early on did we talk, like, dude, the defense is flying right now.
Oh, my God.
Fred Warner, all over the place early. Nick Bosa, all over the place for 4 quarters.
It felt like a Robert Saleh, D'Amico Ryan swarming defense.
Absolutely. Swarming, yeah. Maybe Robert Saleh was in the building. Who knows? He's got time on his hands.
The ghost of Robert Saleh.
But no, it was just, can you quibble with exactly how the game went? Like, yeah, for sure. But let's just say it's back and forth early, and then the 49ers pull away and win 36-24. Like that to me doesn't matter. They closed the game out, and that's that. We always talking basketball, right? Doesn't matter who starts; it's about who closes. Like that's what this game was for me. The Niners had plays to make in the fourth quarter, and they made all of them. That's huge,
man. This feels great to win. Honestly, it feels like
nice.
Me and Kyle were in here last week talking about you could be 2-6 going into the bye week. It's the worst place to be. You're 2-6. Season's over at that point. You're looking at rookies and veteran guys you're going to have to watch leave in the offseason. Like this season, coming into this game, was on the brink of utter disaster. Fire Brian Schneider. Is Nick Sorensen the guy? Fans who already hate Kyle Shanahan are going to hate him even more after this. You see CMC's injury. I mean, me and Kyle talked about you got to play good enough to even want CMC to come back. This is a team that Christian McCaffrey should want to come back to play for. You hope Jordan Mason's healthy. They may need Christian McCaffrey for all we know if Mason can't go against Kansas City in 10 days. Like, this is a team where you look at and you go, man, like, there is still something magical in this. It just may take you a little longer to pull it out, right? You see a lot of teams like the Houston Astros this year, right? They've been so good, had that terrible start to the season, then powered their way to the playoffs. It's a veteran team in San Francisco right now.
And they got swept by the Tigers.
Well, I mean, hey, all right, Mark. Dan with mood, I guess. Fine. Okay, fine.
The metaphor has an end, okay?
Right. But all that to say, like, this team has played in back-to-back long playoff runs, and they've been broken and bruised, new defensive coordinator, so many things that they had to fix and change and retweak and rework, whereas maybe it takes 6 weeks to get this thing right, and a win, your first win on the road, mind you, in one of the toughest places to win in the entire league, you get that one, get your juju back, get your mojo back, shout out Austin Powers, and you start kicking some butt again. Like, this is a game where San Francisco, if they can build upon this team is still a really good team. Kirk Herbstreit said, who's great in the NFC? Right now, nobody really. This is still up in the air for San Francisco. Go on a run. You beat KC in 10 days. I get it's 10 days away, but my goodness, it's not like you can't win that game either. It's a long shot because it's Patrick Mahomes and it's KC at home, but my goodness, man, I'm feeling probably a little too good right now, but let's do this thing, boys.
We got a long ways before that one.
Can we play tomorrow? Sterling's ready.
Yeah. Put me in, coach.
Oh, my God. That would be a disaster if that game was tomorrow. But, yeah, I mean, it's a step in the right direction. You absolutely had to have it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And the Niners, you got the job done. 36-24 is the final. Niners tied with the Seahawks atop the NFC West at the moment. The Niners, though, currently do have that tiebreaker because they have just beat the Seattle Seahawks head-to-head. They might not be alone atop the NFC West by the time Sunday ends because if the Arizona Cardinals win, they'll be 3-3, and they would have the tiebreaker over the 49ers. But for the time being, the Niners, first place in the NFC West. 888-957-9570. This is Overtime on 95.7 The Game. It's Mark Randy, Kyle Madsen, Sterling Bennett with you. Let's go out to the phone lines. Niner fans, we'll take your calls all night long. Give us a call. 888-957-9570. Up first, Liverado, all the way out in Florida. What's up, Liverado? Wow. You're on 95.7 The Game. It's OT. How you doing?
Good evening. Thank you, OT, for having me on. I appreciate your the great information that was disseminated throughout this whole time. I get to hear from you guys. Listen, you guys, this is a huge win for this 49er team. I'm going to preach it to a lot of the naysayers this whole week. I kept hearing it on KNBR radio over the internet about the defense not able to come up with the big tackles from the previous 2 weeks. But you know what? Tonight they came out with the big tackles. Defense came out huge. This is against Geno Smith, which was ranked, I believe, number 1 in the NFL when it came to passing yards. So there was a lot of naysayers, and I'm going to leave it at that. Also, Brock Purdy coming huge. You hear a lot of naysayers within the organization, not the organization, but within the fan base about Brock Purdy. They still do it, but I'm going to say, listen, he came up huge, and he came up with the huge pass completions to even Ayuk, to the to Jennings to Kittle with that huge touchdown.
Liverato, real quick, don't hang up yet. I have 2 questions for you, okay? Yeah. One, are you safe, or you're in Florida? Are you in a safe spot?
Oh yeah, we're safe. We're good. Listen, yeah, we're good. I'm originally from Fremont, but I lived out in Florida. I've been living out there for the last 2.5 years, south of Orlando. We got hit, but hey, at least I don't have the Tampa Bay. I don't live in where the Tampa Rays play at right now, because their roof is pretty bad right now.
Second thing, Liverato, you're keeping it locked into 95.7 The Game, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Love to hear it.
There we go. Thanks, appreciate the call, Liverato. There's one place for the best Niner coverage here in the Bay, and it is 95.7 The Game. Even Liverato all the way out in Florida knows that. Yeah, man. But stay safe out there.
Salute. Hope everything stays okay. Can I say one thing I just noticed? Again, we're watching, they're running highlights and such on the television. Do you know how I know the Niners just so badly needed this win? Forget the math, forget all the sports talk radio of it all, right? Did you see Kyle Shanahan's reaction to Isaac Orendo's run?
Yes.
I did not.
Kyle Shanahan typically, I'm going to act here, youtube.com/95.7 The Game if you want to check it out. Usually, like, big play, you might get this from Kyle Shanahan. He's got his
play sheet,
right? You might get one of these.
Just a little fist bump. And then he'll bury his face in his play sheet and walk down the sideline.
Right. It's just a little fist pump, just like that worked how I thought it would.
On to the next play.
Next play. Just robotic mind, right? I don't even think he's holding the play sheet. He was full blown like flexing, like screaming. Like Gendo breaks through, he points, he jumps, and then when he slides down, he's doing the full like like he never does that.
That's what it meant. Yeah.
So that it was so clear, like it was weighing on all of us, right? Like we do radio for it. Like there's nothing. I can't imagine the tension in that locker room. And I'm guessing that this, again, season changing win, because I think that's just such a mental victory as well for them.
Our good old friend Chris O'Connell said Shanahan looked away like when Steph Curry makes a 3 and he knows it's going in. It was like money. Like, you see that run break off and you're just like, I don't know about you guys. It was like all the pressure left my body. I was sweating. I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Oh my God. Like, honey, what's for dinner? I got to find something else to do. She was sleeping on the couch. I'm not kidding. I went, yes, as loud as I humanly possibly could. And she goes,
we heard it.
Why are you screaming? And I said, San Francisco won, baby. Taking it to Seattle. She said, that's enough. You got to stop. Calm down. And I go, don't worry about it. Show's on next. And I was like, it was ultimate relief of like, oh my goodness, we're not going to be 2-4. Thank God, Gendo, who walked into this game never even having 100 yards in a game, 99 tonight, whatever it was, has never carried the ball over 200 times in a collegiate season. He was clutch, and so was Patrick Taylor Jr. Like, Mason goes down, you're like, San Francisco can't run the ball anymore. Came up clutch in a massive way to seal this game for San Francisco.
Yeah. I mean, it was a weird running back game because Mason was his normal, awesome, efficient self through the first half and 1 carry in the second half. Then he does not return. They turned to Gendo, who was spotting Mason in the first half. Gendo got the first handful of touches after Mason left the game, although we see it on the sideline in his pads and helmet for the entirety of the second half. Kind of weird. We will hear from Kyle Shanahan about that a little bit later. But he was largely ineffective in those first handful of carries. Then the Niners turned to Patrick Taylor, and they stuck with him to the point where it almost felt like Gendo was out with an injury, but he wasn't. He comes back in on the final drive, that last drive, and breaks off a 76-yard run that seals it. He slides down. It turns into a Juszczyk touchdown. Niners win. Final score 36-24. And when that run happened, the Gendo run, guys, this game was still in the balance because the Seahawks had just went down and scored. They tried to go as quickly as they could, but the Niners were just giving them the 6 yards underneath every time. So they go 15 plays, 70 yards over 4.5 minutes. They get in the end zone to make it a 5-point game with 1:44 to go in regulation. The Seahawks have all 3 timeouts. So if you go 3 and out, if the Niners offense goes 3 and out, the Seahawks could get the ball back with like 1:30 to go. And you could be looking at a situation where the defense has to get you a stop. Otherwise, you blow a 20-point second half lead to a division rival to fall to 2-4. So you might look back, you might see the final score and think, well, that Gendo run, the game was already over, right? No, that sealed the game. It was a huge moment in this game, and that's got to feel good for him as a rookie. Largely has been ineffective. I mean, we were all talking about it as he was running. It's kind of hard for him to find the holes and hit it hard, and he hasn't been reading the game very well. Maybe this takes a little bit of pressure off, and who knows what the Jordan Mason shoulder injury is. Niners have a mini bye. You hope that he's ready for Kansas City. You hope, of course, that Christian McCaffrey's return is in the near future at some point. But it was just awesome to see Isaac Gendo get that run to seal this game.
Yeah, especially since that exact run felt like it was there for him so many times.
Yeah,
like that's why they picked him up, right? Like coming out of the draft, you hear about like, oh man, he's like Elijah Mitchell, he's like Raheem Mostert. It's that outside zone. He's got the speed. He's one cut downhill runner. He breaks tackles. He maintains his speed through contact. All this stuff where you're going, oh man, they might have a gem here. And then I don't think I ever saw him break a tackle. I don't think I ever saw him that they blocked that up perfectly. He just needed to get a little skinny, squeeze through that hole and go. And he did. It's like, oh my God, he did it.
It was blocked to perfection and he ran it to perfection.
Yeah. In the spot where they needed it the most, like they just needed a first down there, right? Because Seahawks had all their timeouts. And you said it, 5-point game, minute 44 left.
Plenty of time.
Minute 40-ish.
Yeah.
They're going to get the ball back with like a minute-ish, a little over a minute, needing a touchdown to win. Like that's scary. That's scary hours, right? So just a huge play, and they started it. It was appropriate because they started with a huge play from Malik Mustafa getting the interception, thanks to a pressure from Nick Bosa, and they end it ostensibly with the huge run by a rookie in Isaac Gendo.
Well, and this offense, the way they played this year, like them getting a first down is never promised. Facts. This team has just been trying to get first downs. They can't even put seemingly 2 plays together back to back to get you 6 yards a pop. It feels like, okay, if you're going to get a first down, you're pulling teeth, and they get that massive 76-yard run on the very first play, essentially, of the drive. You're like, oh my gosh, like, whew, in the bag, man. But what a great day for this 2024 draft class. Mustafa got hurt in this game. Hopefully he's back in 10 days against the Chiefs, but big interception early on the first drive. Green gets that big interception late to give San Francisco the ball in the red zone. They cap a drive out. They get a touchdown. Gendo makes it, again, phenomenal run to cap things off. Like we all talked about during that draft process, me and Mark were live during that. Like this is going to be an important draft class for San Francisco. And in the most important game of the year, 3 of their players stepped up big time when they needed it the most. And it's like you're going to need that all year long from these young guys to not just carry you into the next wave of San Francisco 49er football, but this year alone, if you want to win, you need these guys to make big plays. And today was a big one for this draft class.
Yeah, and pregame, you could kind of sense that there was going to be the opportunity for the draft to kind of show off. Not necessarily the running back side of it. The Mason injury is unfortunate, and you weren't really expecting that. At least you weren't counting on it. But without your best safety, or at least your highest paid safety, in Mooney Ward, who was ruled inactive in this game about an hour and a half before kick. You got Demo Lenore, and then you've got Renardo Green, Isaac Yiadom. Like you're going to have to play a rookie corner, Renardo Green, at the very least, essentially every single time you've got nickel coverage on the field. And he did that. You've also got Mustafa without Talanoa Hufanga playing a safety spot. He goes down. George Odom comes in, who's generally just a special teams ace and has filled in at times defensively for the 49ers. But you knew that this was going to be an opportunity for the defense, for the youth of the defense to show up. Now, I'm not so sure I was terribly confident they were going to show up. I mean, DK Metcalf, 11 targets, guys. 11 targets, only 3 catches, 48 yards, and he had a catch for 30 yards, I think, on the first drive for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
It was one of the first plays from scrimmage for their offense. Down the left side, he breaks free, gains 30 yards. From that moment on, targeted 10 times, 2 catches for 18 yards. And a lot of that, he was guarded by Renardo Green. Like, this was an awesome moment for that. You guys are right. For this 2024 draft class, specifically on the defensive side of the ball for me, you tell me you're without Mooney Ward, who has kind of developed a history of playing well against DK Metcalf. You're without that guy, and you hold Metcalf to 3 for 48 on 11 targets. I would not have believed you.
No, it would have been. It would have. Did Geno Smith get hurt?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
What's
There's something else going on here.
Yeah, man. I was just super impressed, top to bottom, by the 49ers tonight.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like up and down, offense, defense. Like I know it wasn't a big game for Jawan Jennings, and Kittle had 2 touchdowns, and Debo was relatively ineffective after that big play he made in the first half. But if you watch the halftime show, Richard Sherman said that, hey, like Debo went to Kyle and was like, we got to talk about getting me more involved in the offense, which goes back to the major point of this game of like, we're desperate. You need someone to pick up the offense. Kyle, put it on my back. And early in this game, it was a Debo Samuel, takeover in Seattle for the most part. And he had 9 touches in the last 2 games. He had like 5 in the first 2 drives. It was like, yes, give Debo the football. So a collective, like, got to get it. And a collective, we got it. So it's a great day.
Yeah, they got the win. 36-24 is the final score. They're now 3-3, tied with the Seahawks, but they do have officially the tiebreaker with the win today at the moment. All right, we got to take a break here on Overtime. We're with you for a whole lot longer. So if you want to get your thoughts in, give us a call, 888-957-9570. I see you guys on hold right now. Rich, Jose, Junior, RJ, we're coming to you on the other side, so hang out there. Plenty to be excited about, but also a lot of reason to be a little worried, and there's still a lot to correct. If you are a 49er fan, we can get into all that as Overtime continues. Mark, Randy, Kyle, Matson, Sterling, Bennett with you. More coming up next on 95.7 The Game.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Debo off in the end zone. Touchdown 49ers.
Now back to overtime with Grandy, Madsen, and Bennett with sounds from the locker room and your calls at 888-957-9570. Overtime continues now.
Final score, Niners 36, Seahawks 24. That highlight you just heard, Al Michaels on Amazon. If you're in the Bay, you probably watched it on KTVU Channel 2. 76-yard touchdown catch and run. Brock Purdy to Debo Samuel. I don't know how all you guys felt watching that play specifically, but when I first saw Brock Purdy uncork that ball to Debo Samuel, he was wide open. I thought, oh, touchdown Debo. Then I saw the safety come over, and I thought, oh no, pick six down. Then I thought, oh no, Debo Samuel's about to get lit up, and then Debo Samuel caught it. The safety somehow missed the ball and Debo entirely, and Debo, once he gets his sights set on the end zone, no one catches him, and he gets into the end zone. That made it 10-0 Niners. At that point is when I felt this might turn into more than just a win. It might turn into a rout, because what followed was the fumbled kickoff by the Seahawks, and then the red zone woes showed themselves again. You settle for a field goal, but still 13-0. It became 16-0. It ultimately became 23-3 in the third quarter. Seattle got back within a score a couple of different times. Ultimately, the final score is 36-24. But it was just good to see a big play. Debo Samuel get involved. You always have the feeling Debo, primetime games against a good opponent, a game where the Niners have to have it. This is a script tailor-made for Debo Samuel. And while he only touched the ball, 3 catches and 4 carries, I mean, he was effective. A big part of it was because of that 76-yard touchdown, but he had his fingerprints on this game early.
Debo Samuel was clocked in the 40-yard dash with a 4.48, which is fine. That's just like that's
nothing special.
Mid.
Yeah.
I have never seen him get run down from behind. I swear, Debo Samuel with the ball in his hands is the fastest player in the world. It's crazy. It's insane. So Julian Love, the safety that missed on that, told reporters after the game he thought he had the interception, which same. He said he took a bad angle, and that's it. Looked like he just got there early and then didn't want to interfere, but still tried to play the ball. It was awkward, but man, the Niners will take it for all the weird bounces they've had this year, and for all the things they've had not go their way this year. Getting that one to go their way was nice, and having it turn into a touchdown and not a big play where, oh man, all right, they're at the 12. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's a touchdown where you did not even have to run from the red zone.
I am less confident. I'm going to say I think they figured some stuff out tonight, but I was less confident in them scoring a touchdown from the 12 than I was when they had it on their own 10. Like on their own 10, it's like, all right, hey, any big play, they could get 6. They get to the 12, it's like, oh boy. Like,
here we go.
We even said after the fumble on the ensuing kickoff, it was like that they were up 10-0 at that point.
The Debo touchdown made it 10-0. Yeah.
So the Debo touchdown makes it 10-0. They get great field position after the fumble. And we said, dude, if they get a field goal here, they're going to lose. If they get a field goal here, we're going to get on the air and we're going to go, hey, that's a tough loss. It's hard not to go back to the fumble and not punching it into the end zone. It turned out to not matter, but boy, it almost did. The red zone stuff is still a little scary, but it looked like they figured something out tonight.
Yeah, no, they definitely figured something out tonight. And I mean, they started 0 for 2 in the red zone, and then they finished 2 for 4. So they got touchdowns on their last 2 red zone appearances. Although it might have been 3 for 5 with that last one, Cal Juszczyk. I'll have to double check on that in a second. But it was at a point where you were still concerned about it early, and you went further than just saying we were going to lose. The Niners were, Kyle. But you even said to me, and I think you tweeted out, tagging both Sterling and I. You can follow Kyle at Kyle A. Madsen on Twitter.
Yeah, you can if you want.
Me at Mark Grandy, Sterling at 49ers_access. But you said if the Niners settle for this field goal, you make it 13-0 instead of 17-0. You're going to look back at this moment as we talked here on Overtime about that was the moment when you could have put the game away and you failed, and that's why you're dealing with maybe a third consecutive double-digit lead blown. And it it kind of, I mean, to your credit, it kind of felt that way at certain points in the second half. I mean, Sterling, all the way until the Isaac Guerrero long run that set up the Juszczyk touchdown to end this game, the game was in the balance. There was a very real possibility that Niners were going to blow not a 10-point fourth quarter lead, but a 20-point third quarter lead. That would have been a disaster.
The pessimistic side of me was like, they're going to lose this game 24-23, exactly what happened last Sunday. And we're going to sit back and say, oh, the red zone issues, and they couldn't run the football, and the defense on third downs. And we're going to say, same old story almost all year long. Like, how long can this continue to happen before something changes? Whether it's a personnel issue or a coaching thing, like, the bow has to break eventually, and thankfully San Francisco kind of glued that bow back together and said, it's all good, boys. We saved off a terrible comeback by Seattle, but yeah, like early in this game it was, we've seen this before. San Francisco jolts out to an early lead against the Rams, against the Cardinals. Great. Like, here we go again, and you're like, gosh, like, when... Like, you're just waiting for the inevitable. Here comes the collapse. The offense can't score. The defense can't get off the field. And Gendo's massive play. And even then, like, going back to the red zone issues, I think it was 3rd and 4. They got the interception by Green. It's 3rd and 4. I'm like, just run the ball. Get the field goal. Make it a 2-score game. And Kyle Shanahan said, nope, I'm going to pass the football. Which he's a rather conservative head coach in normal times. It feels like he'd take the field goal and make it a 2-score game. He said, nope, I'm going to go for the dagger, which they've been trying to kind of go for the dagger here and there. The Patriots game was a big example of that. Purdy throws the pick in the end zone or close to the end zone. Could have been a dagger. They went for the throat in this game. And it was like, finally, like San Francisco didn't just go for it. They actually got it. It's like, that's what we've been waiting to see all year long from this team. And whether it continues, time will tell. But at least for right now on a Thursday at 9:11 at clock, like, hey, like, it worked. And they won, and they got 36 points on the board. That hasn't happened all year long, and it's a great win. And the first win on the road in a raucous Seattle crowd, which the San Francisco fans, the faithful, there's a lot of red in those seats tonight. It was a great turnout from San Francisco.
And there was some Let's Go Niners chants in the second half.
Yeah, I never would have expected that there.
Yeah, it was awesome to see for a place that, as you guys have been talking about already, has been a house of horrors. I know for like my generation of Niner fans, like the first real, and it's our generation of Niner fans, all three of us, the first real good Niner teams that I can remember was the Harbaugh era, and that's when the Seahawks were good as well, the Legion of Boom and all of that, and the Seahawks kind of just stayed good between the Niners' 2 windows of being good, and it seemed like every time, even when the Niners had a good team, you go up to Seattle, and at the very least, you were in for the most physical football game of the year, and generally, you were going to lose that game. Shanahan and this era of Niners football has kind of flipped that script. Seattle hasn't been as good during this era as they were in the earlier Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson days, but still a hard place to play. And anytime you come away with the win in Seattle is a really, really nice moment. Let's go back out to the phones here on Overtime. As promised, Rich in Fremont is up next. If you want to join the conversation, give us a call, 888-957-9570. Rich, what's up? You're on Overtime on 95.7 The Game. How you feeling, Rich?
I'm feeling good, Mark Grandy. Hey, first of all, Mark, I want to give big shout out to you. Met you and your family at the Red and Gold Summit in Fremont Bank. That was huge. And I'll tell you something. Anytime you can meet a radio host and their family all in one suit, look, that's all big. Okay.
Shout out, Rich. We appreciate you attending the Red and Gold Summit.
That's right. And I got to represent 95.7 The Game. It's what you do when you're in the Bay. So, look, let's keep it real. Up until you had the Ronaldo Green interception, you weren't sure. None of us were sure. All of a sudden, and this has been a big question. Let's keep it real. It's been a question. We've had 5 games, and you were wondering, okay, how is the defense going to come up? We don't have starters. We don't have Dre Greenlaw. We don't have our guys. Travis Ward's not playing tonight. And so you're looking going, okay, look, and it wasn't because Seattle was better. It was just because of what we've seen. And what have we seen? We've seen the Niners compete, but they can't. They couldn't bring a closer. And so you're thinking, okay, what are we going to do tonight? What's going to happen? And so all of a sudden, it's looking the same. It's 23-10, and you're thinking, oh, here we go. We've seen this movie. Mm-hmm. It's like, so we're going to look at it again? We're going to see this movie again. The popcorn's getting stale, okay? The butter doesn't taste the same. This is an old movie, and we're tired. But Ronaldo Green comes up huge as a rookie against DK Metcalf. You're like, wow. You're like, wow. And it's like once that happens, all of a sudden, the floodgates open. Okay, now you're like, okay, wait a minute. And then Gendo realizes, oh, wait a minute. I got 4.33 speed. I can use it outside. Once I get outside, I can use my speed. And when he does, Seattle defense, the secondary goes, wait, what? Wait a minute. You got 4. Oh, no. And now all of a sudden, guess what? Gendo's down the sideline. And had he made the last-minute adjustment, he would have scored. So, in my opinion, hats off to this nice defense. They deserve it. They worked hard. Look, wait a minute. Fred Warner was Fred Warner, and Bosa put the pressure, and guess what? But it started with the green. You got the green, you got the money, you make the purchase. Ronaldo Green, rookie, stepped up against DK Metcalf. Huge. Once he did that, we were able to close the deal. And it's a fourth quarter. We closed it. Yeah. So, hey, guess what? Coffee is for closers.
You're right, Rich. The Ronaldo Green, the Ronaldo Green interception on the DK Metcalf, the throw from Geno Smith over the middle of the DK Metcalf. I mean, there's so many big plays in this game, but that was a one-score game in the fourth quarter, and it turned into an immediate scoring scenario for the Niners.
Because the coffee plant is green before you extract the bean from the shell.
Yeah.
See, that's where I see where he was going.
It went right over my head.
See, okay, very good.
All right, I'm done.
He's out of here. No, was that play of the game for you guys? The interception?
Yes.
The Ronaldo Green interception?
I think so.
Game saving. Arguably, at this point, NFC West divisional saving play.
It was 23-17 Niners in the fourth quarter. Seahawks just got the ball back after forcing a Niner punt. And they've been able to move the ball in the second half ever since the kickoff return for a touchdown. They've been getting chunks both on the ground and through the air. Yeah. And not only did you get the ball back, but you also handed your offense a red zone opportunity immediately, and they turned it into points, and it's a big reason why they won the game. So, yeah, I think I'm with you. Play of the game, Ronaldo Green.
Because even if they get a field goal there, like the Kittle touchdown was big, obviously, but even if they get a field goal there, it's still 9.
Yeah.
It still would have been a 2-score game. So I think I'm with you. That flipped the game for sure.
This game was very poetic almost, right? You've been here twice. You know, George Lucas often says it's like a circle. Everything is in poetry. It rhymes. I'm a plethora of cinema knowledge tonight, boys. I'm sorry.
Love this for you.
but like, it's poetic, right? You've been here before. Against the Cardinals, your defense had an opportunity to get that big turnover on downs, and they just couldn't do it. In fact, took a miraculous 4th down conversion by Kyler Murray to even give the Cardinals a chance to win that game, which kudos to those guys. They got the win, whatever, but your defense just could not make that one play. And your offense, when they got a shot, couldn't put the game away, whether it's a drop pass against the Rams, Ronnie Bell, Purdy not taking shots downfield to Ayuk, or throwing a pick against the Cardinals. Like, they just haven't been able to make that one play. And on back-to-back drives, Green's pick, Purdy's touchdown pass to Kittle, they make 2 plays and put this game away for all intents and purposes. Like, it was like, finally, like something has clicked for this team on defense and on offense.
Yeah, and it came not immediately after, but relatively soon after you had the fiasco on the Seahawks punt return, where it should have been a muffed punt, and so the Niners punt away, Seahawks back to return it. It was Chris Conley, I think, who was the gunner on that play for the Niners. He gets blocked into the punt returner for the Seahawks. They ultimately review it, or they determine that Conley gets that blocked into him. So no flag on Conley, but they say that the Seahawks didn't touch it, and the Niners recovered it. Who was it? I think it was Jalen Graham, on the recovery.
Good knowledge.
And he was there immediately, to his credit, immediately fell on it. There was an immediate recovery, but it was ruled on the field. No muffed. It was not touched by the Seahawks. Kyle Shanahan, I think a lot of people were saying not smartly, but it turned out to be smart, challenged the play. And after we got the final review, the final result of the review from the officials, we saw a great, 2 angles on the Amazon broadcast.
Clear as day.
That clear as day. It touched 2 fingers on the Seahawks punt returner's left hand, I think, if memory serves. Maybe you're right. Right hand? Whatever.
Right.
One of his hands, whichever hand it was.
Get it
doesn't
right,
matter.
Mark. Jeez.
It touched him. It touched his hand.
It's unacceptable.
It is my fault, Chasky. Sorry about that. Touched his right hand, and Jalen Graham fell on it. But what the explanation that we got from
is insane.
Was it Terry McCauley? Whoever it was.
Walt Anderson?
Whoever it was. Sorry.
Is he still-
Terry McCauley is the NBC guy.
I don't know.
Whichever,
think it's Walt
the
Anderson.
Amazon referee insider
This is the most insane thing I've ever heard in my life.
said that the NFL refereeing headquarters, or whatever you call it, didn't have access to the special angles and the enhanced camera view, the enhanced video that the
Kyle's getting
Amazon
ready.
broadcast has access to. How does the viewer of these football games have better access to replay reviews than the actual NFL HQ? That makes no damn sense to me.
I've got an idea.
Uh-oh.
Turn on Amazon Prime. You don't have access? We do. We got you. Here's my login.
Hey,
You can
NFL, I'll
have
send
it.
you my login.
You can have it. In fact, you know what? You can also pay for it. You got it, NFL. If I got it, you got it, right? There is not a world in 2024 where Mark Grandy, Kyle Madsen, Sterling Bennett, and everybody here should have access to better replays than the people in charge of getting the call right.
Man.
That is insane. You know what? I will sacrifice that on my video so they can have it.
Yes.
Whatever has to happen that they get to have that instead of me, that's fine. But that is, I know this sounds over dramatic. The Niners won, whatever, but that is unacceptable. That is the reality, that the viewer at home can have better access to replays than the people who need to get the damn call right. Outrageous.
And that could have changed the entire game. If Green doesn't get the pick, what if Seattle scores and San Francisco has to march down and score themselves? Which the last couple of games they haven't got it done. We could be having a whole different conversation because the NFL flubbed a challenge, which Shanahan, kudos to him. He never throws challenge flags. He got aggressive, said, you know what, game's on the line. I can get the ball back here. They even said in the broadcast, that was a 70-yard differential. They got the ball at the 10 or the 8-yard line, whatever it was. We could have been having a whole different conversation of how did the refs screw the Niners in this game? It was a fumble and they lost because of this. And instead, thankfully, the football gods were on our sides tonight, I guess. It didn't matter at all. So who cares? Man.
Yeah, that was a weird moment in this football game, but you guys are right. At least it didn't turn into 7 points for the Seahawks and didn't really feel like it changed the outcome of this game. A big reason why was not that possession, but the following Seahawks possession. Renardo Green with the interception. That turned into George Kittle's touchdown, his second touchdown. He and Kyle Juszczyk then at that moment jump into the stands where both their wives are waiting. Special day for George Kittle. He celebrated his 31st birthday yesterday. He gets 2 touchdowns today, Thursday Night Football in Seattle, and after scoring his second, he gets to jump up into the stands with his wife, Claire. Kyle Juszczyk jumping up in the stands with his wife, Kristen, and a fun moment there for the Niners in Seattle as they win final score 36-24.
Can I be negative Nancy for 2 seconds?
Go ahead.
Or should I wait? Were you going to go to a call?
I was gonna, but you.
Okay, no. Let that person cook. I'll be negative Nancy later. It's fine.
Okay, we got plenty of time for you to be negative, Nancy.
Yeah.
All right, up next, we got Jose in Virginia. This might actually lead into you, Kyle, because I think Jose wants to sound some alarms. Despite the win for the Niners, he's not sold. Jose, what's up? You're on overtime on 95.7 The Game. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? I just want to say I listen to y'all. It gets lonely as a Niners fan in Virginia, but am I the only one that's not satisfied with this win? It was ugly. I have to respectfully disagree with all you guys. One of y'all said that we was dominant. When? In the first half? How many times did we see that? How many times did we see that? DJ Metcalf had a TD that got called back. Geno threw a catchable pass in the end zone that didn't get called. And if we didn't have that big run at the end, I think it would have been a close game. And then one of y'all said that it reminded you of the 2003 Niners. This is the first time we scored over 30 points. Last year, we averaged over 30 points besides a losing streak.
Didn't they score 30 in week 1?
Definitely is. Yeah, 32. If you can look up.
You're good, Jose. Keep going.
32,
yeah.
But
and they had 30 against New England.
Yeah, so I lost my train of thought. But I'm saying, like, it was it was not pretty. I'm saying, like, I don't know who to blame. The defense, I want to blame the defense, but the offense is killing me with the third down conversions in the end zone and our magic, unique coach. That the only unique play that I ever saw was Kyle Juszczyk at the end of the play.
Yeah, Jose, I think you're onto something. I think you're onto something in terms of, like, there's levels to this Niner team, and at least compared to what our expectations were going into the season, they didn't perform tonight up to that level of expectation. Like, if you come out with this kind of performance against one of the better teams in the NFL, you're probably going to lose. At the very least, you're not going to be winning by double digits. Like, this was not a world beaters performance, but it's a matter of baby steps for the 49ers, because you were staring a 2-4 start to the season square in the eyes, and all you needed to do was get a win. You will deal with fixing the things that still were not great today. And, like, don't get it twisted. There were a lot of things that were not great in this game tonight. So I think, Jose, you have every right to still not be sold that this is a team that can win a Super Bowl, because I'm not there. I mean, they're 3-3, for goodness sake. Like, there's a lot of room for this Niner team to continue to improve and to get better. Today was a step in the right direction, but let's not pretend like suddenly they win this game in kind of ugly fashion, and now we're suddenly convinced they're right back to the team they were last year.
No, but they were 5 of 12 on third down. That's fine. 42%, that's a fine number. 3 of 5, 60% in the red zone. That is a much better number. They were up 20. They had the kickoff return go for a touchdown. The Seahawks got a stop, and then they went down and scored again, and that was as close as they got the rest of the game. Like, that's a short week on the road, division rival. You will take that type of win every single day in the week, but especially on Thursday. I don't. 7.9 yards per play to 4.9 for Seattle. I mean, this was a fine performance for the 49ers, especially given what we've seen for the last 3 out of the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, there is definitely room to nitpick, and we can do that as we continue. And Kyle definitely wants to get something off his chest, so we'll do that on the other side. We got more of your calls to get to, plus we do have Kyle Shanahan's post-game press conference where he will update us on some of the injuries in this one. There are a few to keep an eye on. Jordan Mason did not play essentially the entire second half. Malik Mustafa, similar story there. Also, Aaron Banks was in and out, and he did not return towards the end of the game. The Niners, one of the Niners' starting offensive linemen. So those are 3 big ones. We will hear from Kyle Shanahan on that and more, plus your calls coming up as we continue. It's Mark Randy, Kyle Matz, and Sterling Bennett with you. Overtime continues after the Niners win in Seattle right here on 95.7 The Game.
Now it's time for the closer of the week. Presented by LiftMaster and RNS Doors. Turn your garage into the envy of the neighborhood. Visit rnsdoors.com.
Green. And so the rookie involved in the last play and gets involved in the next play, and the rookie out of Florida State with a huge pick.
Now back to overtime with Grandy, Madsen, and Bennett, with sounds from the locker room and your calls at 888-957-9570. Overtime continues now.
Welcome back. 36-24, the final score. 49ers over the Seattle Seahawks on Thursday Night Football up in Seattle. Al Michaels, courtesy of Amazon. If you are watching in the Bay, you were probably watching on KTVU Fox 2. Renardo Green, a huge interception. Niners' second-round pick in this year's NFL draft, and he was kind of forced into action. We've seen him in and out of the lineup throughout the first 5 weeks of the season, forced into regular and consistent action in this one because Mooney Ward, inactive, found out about an hour and a half before kickoff when inactives are released per the NFL. And he stepped up and he made one of the plays of the game, not as if he played a perfect game, and you don't expect that out of a rookie when you're going up against receivers like DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith and Jigba, who has, by the way, overtaken Tyler Lockett for wide receiver 2 in Seattle. You could even make a case JSN might be the best receiver in Seattle. He's been awesome so far this season. It is a good receiving core. Renardo Green, he was up to the task. A huge play there. Helped stem the tide. I mean, all the momentum was with the Seattle Seahawks at that point. They had a special teams touchdown. Yep. Their defense got consecutive stops against the 49ers, who, you could maybe be upset or frustrated with the way that things went in the red zone, but the Niners, really like they've done for the majority of the season, when they have the ball, they've been moving the ball, not a lot of 3 and outs, some here and there, but the Seahawks had just gotten 2 stops in a row. They get the ball back. It's worry time if you're a Niner fan. Then Renardo Green steps in and turns the game around.
Here's the deal. You're going to win a lot of games going at 7.9 yards per play. By the way, NFL leader right now is the Ravens at 6.8 for the season. So 7.9 is a huge number. You go 7.9 yards per play and you go 60% in the red zone. You're going to win a ton of games where you're doing that. But yeah, that Renardo Green play, man, that flipped the game back. And that was, I don't want to ascribe this to anybody else. I was sitting out there like, you got to fire people. You lose this game, you got to fire people. This is insane. But that was with the mindset of what happened in week 3 and what happened in week 5. 2 division teams where they blew a 10-point lead with all these little things going wrong, and they just could never right the ship. They couldn't get the play that swung the game back their way, because it's going to happen. There's going to be ebbs and flows, especially in a division game on the road in a short week. And that's what we've been waiting on is, hey, can you pull that momentum back? Can you just not let go of the rope right away every time the game starts to slip away? And they did. They literally took it back with Renardo Green taking an interception. It started with the Mitch Wisnowski punt, by the way, dropping him on the 3.
Oh, yeah.
It was insane.
He was great tonight.
Came to play. He absolutely was. So Renardo Green gets the pick. Niners score a touchdown. The Seahawks don't score again until there's a minute 49 left. And then the Niners need to get a first down to win the game. Like, that's just kind of how football games go. So that was a massive, massive play. But I keep going back to the fact that they did finally punch it into the red zone with George Kittle there at the end. Because you kick the field goal, you make it 9. Now they need to score a stop and a field goal to win. And now it's a little dicey. So that was kind of the big takeaway for me, was they figured out how to score in the red area.
I want to go back. I think it was Jose was the caller. He said he wasn't sold on this game. And
sure,
there's certainly reasons to believe, okay, San Francisco could have very easily lost this game had it been week 3 and been week 5, right? What if I told you this was the most points San Francisco has scored in Seattle since 1988?
Wow.
What'd I tell you? You'd be like, no way.
My God.
No way. Yeah. They scored 33 points in 2008. They haven't scored 36-plus points in Seattle since 1998. So for as maybe not sold as Jose might be, and there's some validity to that in certain areas, but San Francisco walked into Seattle on a short week, banged up, without 4 defensive starters, a decimated defensive line, an offense that had no groove, no consistency, and put up 36 points against at the time, first place team in the NFC West. I get it's the Seahawks and it's Geno Smith. There's a thought of they're not that good, right? But they've now lost 3 games in a row. You've established yourself as at the moment, number 1 team in the NFC West again, putting up 36 points on the road in Seattle. That is like never a score prediction for San Francisco. It's always 24-20, 26-23. It's going to be a close game. Something crazy might happen, and some crazy stuff did happen, but San Francisco almost put up 40 in Seattle. Yeah. That never happens. We should be celebrating. Yes.
Yeah.
And they relatively easily could have put up 40. I mean, if one of those early red zone opportunities is a touchdown on a field goal, you have 40 points. That easy. Yep. After the fumbled kickoff return by the Seahawks, you get that and you punch it into the end zone instead of kicking a field goal, you have 40 points and you win 40-24. It might change how the rest of the game goes, but you have 40 points. You simply add 4. You got 3 instead of 7. You get those 7 instead of the 3. 4 extra points. You got 40, and that's how close it was to that. That's kind of been the story of the Niners season. It's you left a little bit out there on the field, but this time it did not cost you the win, and you win 36-24. Kyle, I want to hear from you in terms of some nitpicking things you're angry about.
Night. Let's hear from the people.
But there is, I think, maybe a caller that we can get to that will lead into that take from you. Let's go to Junior in Pacifica. He's been hearing some excitement from us, and I'm just going to defend ourselves before we go to you, Junior, because the Niners had just lost to the Rams, who have 1 win on the year, and to the Cardinals, who now have 2 wins on the year. I'm celebrating any win at this point, even if it's over the Carolina freaking Panthers by 1 point. A win is a win. The Niners needed it. I'm not going to apologize for my excitement, Junior, but I will allow you to have the floor. What did you think, Junior, of this Niner win today?
No, good one. It's all good. But, I totally get being relieved. I am completely relieved. And sometimes you're so relieved, you're excited about the win, right? Because you have so much relief. But, we are 3-3, and that projects out to 8-1. And I know we're a better team than that, but we have Super Bowl winning aspirations. I think I want to just look at the big picture. And, we've got the Chiefs coming up, which is not an easy game, right? Without McCaffrey, that's a tough one. So the point being, the thing I've wanted this season is, can we show that we're a consistently winning team without McCaffrey and maybe an excellent, top flight on track to play in and win the Super Bowl team with him, right? Because he's such an important player to us. And I think we're showing that it's really nail-biting time if he's not suiting up, and that's not where we want to be. Because then, even when he is healthy, then all the team has to do to put us in a corner is to contain him, right?
Yeah,
so we can't let him be such a focus. And so I just want to see us figure out how to play with more consistency. Brock Purdy's been amazing, a quiet story, and that's a rock for the rest of the season and going forward. He'll be getting paid next year. So, it all will make more sense then. This is our last really lucky year with Brock's emergence. Can we make the most of it? And can we not let Christian's, appearance or not be the deciding factor in every game?
Appreciate the call, Junior. I think there's a couple of different perspectives you can look at this from. 6 weeks into the season, are you happy or disappointed with how it's gone? Clearly, it's disappointment.
Correct.
Tonight, I'm excited because they got to win in Seattle on Thursday Night Football.
Absolutely. If you're wanting to look big picture right now, that's not what we're doing right now. We're taking a look at this game tonight.
You asked me preseason. They're 3-3 through 6 weeks. That's terrible.
Big thumbs down.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're probably like, dang, was McCaffrey out? Was Debo out? Did Brock get hurt? What happened? And so I get it. Big picture, the 49ers are not where they need to be. And big picture, Mark, you said this earlier, they can't continue to play with fire like this where early in games they have shots at the red zone and they're not scoring touchdowns and they're having special teams mistakes, which they've had. I just did a list. They've had a special team mistake in each of the last 5 games, a pretty catastrophic one. There are so many things they have to clean up. But if after every game, like obviously everybody knows what the goal is with this team. It's the Super Bowl. Like that's it. That's if they don't win a Super Bowl, this year was not a winner. So that's obvious. But at the same time, they weren't going to improve to that level overnight. You're not going to see the 49ers, if they are to reach that level this year, you're not going to see that until what? End of November, December.
And you don't really want to see it until then either.
Yeah, right. And that's just the hallmark of this team. Like I said earlier, they're under 500 in October under Kyle Shanahan. That's just kind of, I don't know what it is, but midway through the year, they make some adjustments and they figure some things out and they start playing better. That's kind of what I'm relying on. You just need to stack wins right now. That for the next few weeks, it's just about how do you get a W to put yourself in a position where when you do start playing better football, it actually matters and actually gets you toward, hey, can you push for the 1 seed? Are you pushing for a division? Where are they at? But if they go, I have a hard time right now complaining about a win where they never trailed and they slammed the door in a way that we've been after the Rams game. God, they just didn't close. After the Cardinals game, they just didn't close. They closed tonight. That's a step forward. I don't know what these people want, Sterling.
Well, they want 36 points and no points for the Seattle Seahawks.
That's fair.
They want to pitch a shutout.
That's fair.
I think maybe, the expectations walking into the year were San Francisco is going to beat every team on their slate. Or if they're not going to beat them, they'll lose by 3. It'll be really close at the end. And that's not how things have gone. But with the way things have gone, how do you not look at this game as a massive victory? Yeah, it's a victory in the win column, but it's like what San Francisco showed tonight. And I don't know about you guys, but there was some doubt creeping in of, can this team close a game? There was this, who are the 2024 San Francisco 49ers? Do you have the grit? Do you have the ability to dig deep in yourself and make a big play when it matters most? You haven't for 5 games. Are you going to show up tonight? And this team answered that. Now, can they do that against the Chiefs in 10 games? Who knows? This team could fall apart for all we know in the next, couple weeks. But as of right now, as of tonight, first place NFC West played their best game of the season by far in a game they had to win against an opponent they had to beat in a place they rarely ever win. So it's like this is an opportunity, or this was an opportunity for San Francisco to say, you know what, enough's enough. Back's against the wall, we're going to push back. And they did. And their back was against the wall coming into the game. It was against the wall in the game, during the game, and they continue to push back. And that's a great sign to see for a team that at the moment has to kind of fight and claw their way back into the NFL playoff picture.
Yeah, absolutely. And they got the job done. 36-24 was the final score. It's overtime here on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy, Kyle Madsen, Sterling Bennett with you. Let's keep going on the phone lines. Up next is RJ in Fairfield. RJ, what's up? You're on overtime on 95.7 The Game. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I feel good. I just ate a double quarter pounder, so I feel good. That's my victory, more guys.
I'm jealous, RJ.
Let's go, RJ.
Hey, it sounds like a lot of people on this phone line need to be eating that double quarter pounder because we just came off an emotional win. My God, it's so doom and gloom. Like this game, Steven Spielberg couldn't write a better story. There were so many ups and downs in this game, and just for us to win this game was a big deal. And let me just say this, guys. We battled through bad replay reviews. We battled through injuries, and then how refreshing was it to see the young guys that we drafted this year to come in and make big plays. Man, I'll just say this, man. No doom and gloom callers today, man. This is a huge win. We put 36. It should have been a 50 burger. Okay, so all this doom and gloom stuff need to stop. I appreciate you having me on, guys. I'm gonna call back next time we have a win. I don't call when I'm sad. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna call back next time we win. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, appreciate the call, RJ. That's what we need.
Shout out to RJ. If you want to be negative, though, we welcome that too. Like, get your stuff out. We're going to try and make you feel better.
You got to get something off your chest, though, I've heard.
Well, now I've got 2 things because RJ said something that really irked me.
Okay, go ahead.
That was a pretty run-of-the-mill. That was a pretty run-of-the-mill NFL game. You're going to tell me that the guy that wrote the Goonies couldn't write a better script than that? Come on. Come on. Let's be real.
Yeah, one of the greatest storytellers of our generation.
Let's be real on this.
Yeah.
The Poltergeist, Close Encounters of the Sugarland Express. Like, come on, we're talking Spielberg. He could write something better than a 36-24 win over the Seahawks. No. Brian Schneider needs to be fired.
Yes.
I take back everything I said about Kyle Shanahan. But Brian Schneider needs to go.
For those who don't know, Brian Schneider, special teams coordinator of the 49ers.
Thank you. Yeah.
Is he? No one's coordinating that unit at all.
Oh, my God.
Fantastic point. Brian Schneider, the alleged special teams coordinator of the 49ers. Week 1, clean sheet. They were fine. Week 2, they had the blocked punt against Minnesota. Week 3, they have the fake punt conversion on 4th and 6 where they were apparently ready for it. The missed field goal, which, again, I'm just special teams mistakes. This is not, a missed field goal is not necessarily Brian Schneider's fault. But the punt coverage in a huge spot where all you needed to do was not allow a big punt return.
Also in week 2, Debo took a kickoff deep out of the end zone when he clearly shouldn't have, and Jacob Cowing fumbled a punt, but they ultimately recovered it.
That was week 2, yes.
Yeah, but they recovered it anyway. Yes. So there's other mistakes in there as well.
Week 4, big win, right? Fumbled kickoff by Isaac Orendo.
Yeah.
Week 5, Jake Moody injured on a big kick return. He had to step up because no one else was going to, apparently.
The special teams did score a touchdown in that week.
Yeah, they did have the field goal block for a touchdown.
Congratulations.
And then you have the kick return touchdown tonight. Like, look, it's reached a point where we're a third of the way through the season. And that's basically every game. They have had a catastrophic special teams mistake. If they lose that game tonight, yeah, we're talking about Kyle Shanahan and we're talking about the offense and, oh my God, the defense and this and that. But we're also going, that all started with the kick return touchdown.
Seahawks were dead in the water.
Dead in the water. And that's the whole issue. It is giving teams life. It is putting them in positions to take control of games. And I don't know how you go back into that building. This week, you have the mini bye. It's a perfect time to bring in someone new. I don't know how you go back into the building this week and say, yeah, that's the guy I want running that unit. I just don't. They have to do something different because this was an issue last year too. It wasn't as pervasive as it is now. But it was prevalent. Prevalent is the word I was looking for.
Even bigger word.
I was wrong. Yeah.
All right. Not to brag. But shout out to the state schools.
Stingers up, am I right?
Stingers way up, dude. Sack 12. We are so back. You can't keep having this unit of football that your head coach is like, as long as they don't lose us the game. Hey, newsflash, coach. They're losing you games.
They're trying.
And if this continues, they will lose you future games.
Yeah, man. Yes. So I said this a couple of weeks ago. Like, they've got to get Brian Schneider. He's not that dude. They are not good enough there in that aspect. And once again tonight, kickstart Seattle like that in a spot where the 49ers had a chance to bury them.
And the worst part about that is that your offense had just made the march down the field, had a heck of a drive, put the ball in the end zone out of halftime. You're feeling great. Well, you have 23 to
3,
whatever it was.
23 to 3.
You're up 20 points, and you're like, oh my goodness, we're going to rout these guys and embarrass them. And kickoff return negates exactly what you just did. The crowd gets into the ball game, and if there's a crowd you don't want to get involved into a game, it's Seattle. Like, that is one of the worst places to play for an opposing team. No matter how many Niner fans are in that crowd rocking that red and gold, it's like you said, Kyle, how many times did the unit have to either almost cost you a game or actually cost you a game before you make a change? Who cares you won? You were going to fire Steve Wilkes had you won the Super Bowl anyways. And you'd fire Brian Schneider just because you won in week 6. The guy will have 11 weeks to get over himself and move on. It's like, come on. Like, the one thing you don't want is to go, okay, we survived week 6, and in the division round of the playoffs or the Super Bowl, it costs you. Because it cost you last year when McLeod fumbled. Or like, come on. It's like, it is the definition of insanity to do the same thing over and over again. Mm-hmm. I don't want to call Kyle Shanahan insane, but at a certain point, Kyle Shanahan, you're insane for not firing the guy who keeps costing you points.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you laid it out, Kyle. 5 of the 6 games you've played so far. We're not talking about minor mistakes. We're talking about catastrophic mistakes. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of ways that you can mess things up on special teams. A lot of ways. Through 6 weeks, I think the Niners have found every single way to mess up on special teams.
Yeah, man.
Every single possible way.
Oh, also against the Cardinals, you had Robert Beal running into the kicker. I mean, thankfully it wasn't roughing.
Right.
He's catching his leg. What are you doing? And if I remember correctly, you guys might recall this too. I believe in Seattle last year, Seattle had a huge kick return. I think Darrell Luter came up with a big tackle to save a touchdown.
Yep,
but Seattle got a
Thursday night. That was Thanksgiving.
Yeah, had a huge kick return in that game too. That kind of almost changed the tide of that one.
I mean, this is not a new thing. It's been as you were talking about, more prevalent, or as I said, more pervasive this year. But it's not like special teams have always been great for the 49ers over the last handful of years. Like, this is not a new problem. It's been so much worse this year, but it's not as if they were a top special teams unit at any point in the last couple of years either. 888-957-9570. We continue on the phone lines. Up next is Filmo Mike. Filmo, you're on OT. Hello. It's Mark Randy, Kyle Matson, Sterling Bennett with you. Filmo, what'd you think of that Niner win?
Oh, man, great win. First, I wanted to just talk about the NFL. Y'all doing a great job tonight. NFL, I don't know what they got to do, but that's crazy, because if you can't see what's going on the field, how can you make the call? And then if whoever would have won or lost the game is lost, but that impacts seasons. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that was a huge miss call, and like, that could have really flipped the game. But anyway, with that being said, I don't know where the last caller was solid. I don't know the other 2-3 callers. Like, I don't know what they expect, but we got to show love when love is due, man. You got to realize it's a long season. The offense, and the dude was like, I want to see the offense look different without CMC. How? How can you look different? Mm-hmm. That's like saying I want to look different without Steph Curry on the court. What are you talking about, bro? How did not going to look the same with CMC not there? Come on, bro. Now, what I do like is we're starting to learn. We're starting to use check a little bit more. Cal's starting to use the different variations and different skills and talents and whatnot and all that good stuff. What this win does also is, to me, it some of the ugliest wins are the prettiest wins. So what it does for me is, even though, we have to deal with the special teams mishaps, we got through it. We did it. You have rookies stepping up. Hey, Steve Kerr, play the rookies. Now you may be able to use them later on in the season. They're getting a callus. They're getting attrition. You know what I'm saying? So that when these other players do come back, who knows? We you know what I'm saying? We could plug and play with CMC, McCaffrey, and Gendo. Speaking of Gendo, he looked like Mozart. I don't know if y'all see. He looked like Mozart to me, for real. And then my last point is 2 points. Debo may be small. He may not know how to run routes, but he high-techs the ball way better than Metcalf, and he's tougher than Metcalf. Let's put that right on the table. Provided by ACO Pet Control. Another right on the table. It was so beautiful to see real love. You feel me? From tight ends and they wives, not girlfriends in the suite. You feel me? That was an epic moment. We always do something crazy in the crowd with Seattle, from T.O. to Kittle and CMC, man. That was epic. That was man. I wish we'd have did that in the Super Bowl. That was so beautiful.
Yeah, Filmo, appreciate the call, and I think Filmo's spot on with a lot of that. We got to hit a break here in just a sec, but yeah, that was a feel good win for the 49ers, and there is plenty of time to continue worrying about where the season is going. I am basking in what was a win over the Seattle Seahawks, the team that I hate the most in the NFL. And the Kansas City Chiefs might be getting up there close. That's coming up next for the 49ers. But this was an awesome win. It felt good to celebrate a win. Niners get back to 500 at 3-3. They win by 12, 36-24. We could talk about McCaffrey and the offense, the lack of McCaffrey. I mean, they put up 36 points. They averaged nearly 8 yards per play, and they averaged over 8 yards per play on the ground. Like, this offense is still chugging along. Maybe McCaffrey makes the difference in the red zone. Maybe that's the only reason the red zone has been poor so far this year. But, I mean, they are still getting big chunks on the ground and moving the ball even without McCaffrey. We can dive into that. We will hear from Kyle Shanahan coming up on the other side as well as overtime continues. Mark Randy, Kyle Matz, and Sterling Bennett with you. Niners are victorious. We got one more hour left with you. More next on 95.7 The Game.
Have you been asking yourself, what's the secret to getting my excess weight off fast and easy like a lot of other people seem to be doing? The secret is Abundant Life Weight Loss. Our program helps you lose weight fast and easy.
line, being chased. One man to beat, and that man stops him, but at the 4-yard line. So of all crazy things, a 76-yard run.
Now back to overtime with Grandy, Madsen, and Bennett, with sounds from the locker room and your calls at 888-957-9570. Overtime continues now.
How about that for the 4th round pick in the 2024 NFL Draft? Isaac Gendo played collegiately at Wisconsin and Louisville. 10 carries, 99 yards, none bigger than that 76-yard run down the right side late in the 4th quarter. Led to Kyle Juszczyk's 6-yard touchdown run, which was the finishing touches on the 49ers' 36-24 win over the Seattle Seahawks. And as we welcome you back to overtime here on 95.7 The Game, Mark Rennie, Kyle Madsen, Sterling Bennett with you. It was a day full of standout moments and performances by 49er rookies, and I don't necessarily say you hoped to see that because that means you had injuries and you needed some of those other guys to step up, but in a situation where you are forced to play some young guys a little bit more than you were hoping for, you could hope for nothing better than this, where you had awesome game-sealing, game-changing, game-breaking moments from a handful of your rookies, and the early returns on that 2024 draft class, great, and you saw it here in Week 6.
That's a great point by you when people are calling in and talking about, Mark Grandy, heck of a radio guy. But when people are talking about their dissatisfaction with the win, I think that's an important thing to remember. It's not just Christian McCaffrey. We had a caller bring up, I need to see him perform consistently without Christian McCaffrey. Okay, that's fine. Christian McCaffrey being out is a pretty big deal. They need to figure it out in the red zone without him, and they did tonight, 3 for 5. But no Javon Hargrave, no Yetur Gross-Matos. That is a starter and your second best pass rusher and a regular rotational player who can play on the inside and outside.
No Dre Greenlaw.
It was a Pro Bowl caliber, one of the 10 best inside linebackers in the game, or off-ball linebackers in the game. You are without Charvarius Ward, All-Pro last season. You are without Talanoa Hufanga, All-Pro 2 seasons ago. Malik Mustafa, his replacement, leaves the game early in the second half or late in the first half.
Yeah.
So you have George Odom out there for the most part running around. On offense, it's you have no Christian McCaffrey. You have Jordan Mason who gets banged up early on in that game. You have George Kittle who's been dealing with injury stuff. He was limited in practice all week. Like there's just
Aaron Banks was in and out. Did not return at some point in the 4th quarter.
Really good point. They're just banged up and they're trying to piece this thing together. And the fact that they are able to play as well as they did, despite that adversity, it's like, man, this team gets a little healthy and starts playing better. Like that's why there's context to this. And I don't know. I find outside of the nitpick about Brian Schneider and you can, this play call or that play call, I don't know how you can be super dissatisfied with a win like that.
Well, go back to last season when Hufanga got hurt. Jair Brown came in. The first play, the Buccaneers take a shot downfield, and it's like, oh, God, like this guy's our safety. He's a rookie, whatever. But then fast forward to February. He picks off Mahomes to open the second half, and it's the mistakes he made when he first came in October and November. And then it's a success that he had, time to grow, time to learn, to get ready for moments like that. So, yeah, it sucks not to have CMC and Ward, Hufanga, and many others. But it's when you watch young guys like Mustafa and Gendo and Green step up, they're going to be asked to do that, yes, more so this year, but in bigger moments if you get to the playoffs. Hey, guys, this guy's down. You got to step up. So, yeah, tonight's a great game, not just for, yes, hyper-focused on this game itself. You got the win, you're 3-3, and it's great stuff, but your mind can start to wander. Okay, this is a big win for young players to get confidence in themselves and let their coaches have confidence in them, in the system in which they're playing in. So it's a big game, yes, for tonight, but also for the future. You have to have Mustafa and Gendo and Bernardo Green. The expectation is they're going to be starters likely next year, or at least on the defensive side with Mustafa and Green. So it's a big game for them to get massive plays, spark the defense, make pivotal clutch plays as well, because even this year alone, Fast forward to Buffalo and Green Bay on the road. What if they're playing out there? They're going to be hopefully built better for those moments and more prepared for those moments because of games like this.
Just piggybacking off of that real quick, I think the other thing we have to do is recalibrate the expectations for this year's team a little bit, because the best version of this year's Niners team is not going to look like it did last year.
Nope.
They just don't have the same level of talent. They're not going to be a top 5 defense. They're just not. Right now, their offense is going to be worse than it was when Christian McCaffrey was on the field. No matter what combination of players you're putting out there, no matter how Brock Purdy is playing or not playing, Christian McCaffrey is the offensive player of the year. This isn't random starting running back. This isn't Joe Mixon, right?
Like, he legitimately could have been the MVP of the league as a running back.
Yeah, was he number 3 in MVP voting?
Yes, right.
Yeah, because Brock was 4.
I think it's 4. Oh, okay, yep, you got it, yep.
Yeah, Brock was 4, Christian was 3, or however that went. But him being out is going to fundamentally change their offense. We're seeing that. We're seeing the ebbs and flows of that and them figuring this out. And then defensively, I don't think they're not going to be a top 5 unit. It's, can they get stops in a big spot? Can you get a big interception from Ronaldo Green here? And can you get a strip sack from Nick Bosa there to help kind of put games away in big spots? Could you just get off the field on 3rd down? Like, that's what it's going to kind of come down to. And I think that's going to be something we grapple with throughout the year is where is the ceiling for this team? Because I think the ceiling for this team is still Super Bowl, but how it looks, I think, is going to be pretty dramatically different.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And like, you can say, well, if they're not as talented as they were last year, like they were for the majority of the season, they were the best team in the NFL last year. But not always the best team in the NFL goes on to win the Super Bowl. Like the Chiefs, did they have the most talent on their roster last year? No, they did not. Like, you don't have to be the best team throughout the course of the season and have the most talent to get on. You just got to catch fire at the right time, catch a little bit of breaks here and there, play your best down the stretch, get lucky in a February game in New Orleans, and you're Super Bowl champs. Like, there are easier paths to doing it maybe, and it's by getting the 1 seed and getting the bye and getting the job done and defending your home field. But just because you might not be like they were last year, maybe suddenly the odds-on favorite and the best team throughout the course of the year, that does not mean that you are not going to have a chance to win the Super Bowl. Like, if the best team, the best regular season team won the Super Bowl every year or was the champion, there would be no playoffs. Like, there's a lot of different ways to have a successful season, and the Niners haven't gotten it done yet down the stretch. But just because this one is feeling a little bit different than it did last year doesn't mean they're not going to be able to get it done. We talked about some of the injuries, some of the youngsters filling in for some of those injured 49ers and some of their standout performances. Let's hear from their head coach, Kyle Shanahan, post-game in Seattle after the Niners' 36-24 win over the Seattle Seahawks. Here is his full presser earlier tonight as the Niners knock off the Seahawks, improve to 3-3. Here's Coach Shanahan post-game tonight.
Ankle never returned. Aaron Banks cramps, and Matt Wright had a shoulder. Go ahead.
Any X-rays on Mustafa?
No, they believe it was a low. Yeah.
Is there a point there when you don't have Mason, obviously you don't have Christian, all the other guys we could list, and you're going, how are we band-aiding this together, or you just think, I got the guys, we're going to win this thing anyway?
I mean, with Debo also, towards the end, on the last possession, what's his name? Drawing a blank. Taylor, he got hurt. So I was afraid that we were down to our last one with Isaac, especially when he got that long run. It was smart of him, giving that touchdown to Juice. But I did get worried right then. Before that, though, we had enough guys, especially with Debo being able to help out and do all that stuff, too. So we were all right.
Was it Mason? He went back in. Did he aggravate something?
Yeah, he thought he was going to be all right. He went back in, and it just hurt him too much. So he went out, I think. I think that was the first play. And then he was out just in case of emergency.
The fact that he could have come in an emergency, does that suggest it's not serious?
I don't know. You never know. Adrenaline on these days. During games is a little bit different. We'll find out more tomorrow when that's down and get the x-rays and stuff.
What was going through your mind when you guys had the 20-point lead, give up the kickoff, and then next thing you know, they have the ball with a chance to take the lead?
Just I mean, I'm not going to go to what's happened on our last 2 losses. It's just staying locked in, not trying to get any negative feelings, and just trying to do it one play at a time. You try to keep our team that way, but it's not like I talked to a bunch of people right then. So just calling plays and stuff, you don't try to think that way. Our goal is to be locked in the entire game, regardless of what the score was, and I thought the guys played like that.
Considering how, like, the moment and how much you needed it, how that throw from Purdy to Kittle, the first touchdown, I mean, the throw to catch, like how clutch was that?
Which one? There was 2 of them. The first one, it was awesome. That was a long third down. We're obviously struggling in the red zone to make a big play like that. I think it was 3rd and goal from, I want to say, the 10. But that was huge. It was a dime right in the corner. It was a hell of a route and catch by George. And then I thought the second one was just as impressive. We called a lookie to BA. They played a coverage where 2 people were on him, and he went across the board and had a hell of a throw to George.
We asked Brock about some of the red zone stuff. He said maybe he's just got to be more decisive, something like that. He pulled the trigger. Did you have that conversation with him, and do you think he did that more tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think the hard thing with the red zone is there's not one theme. There's a few plays, and Brock's saying that because there's a few plays he could have been more decisive on and had. But that's not the whole red zone struggles. But when you struggle running the ball, didn't have a lot of great looks, and then you miss a few that we could have scored on. And Brock's can always own up to that stuff, but that wasn't really the theme. He was real decisive today, made 2 big-time throws there on 3rd down, and it was a step in the right direction, at least.
The challenge that you made, that you didn't win there, what were you told in terms of what angle they saw, whoever, let you know, and then what was the explanation that they didn't?
It was awesome by Hamp. Because he said you could tell by how the guy's hand moved that the ball hit him, and then that's all he saw. But he couldn't 100% see the ball. But he said you could tell how the hand moved, and with it being Thursday Night Football, I thought for sure they'd have a bunch of camera angles. So once he believed that it happened, we threw it thinking we'd get some better angles, and then they just told me that he didn't. And then about 2 minutes later, I heard all the guys in the box freaking out saying they saw another angle, and it was a fumble. So
the official told you that they didn't have the...
Yeah, they only know what they see. So they didn't see, I think, what everyone else saw on TV.
Who told you that the finger moved?
Hamp. Yeah.
With all the...
Brian Hampton.
With all the offensive stuff, I mean, Bernardo Green's interception there came at a really good time. So just how did he make that play, and just what did you see of it?
That was huge. I mean, I just saw it looked like they sailed it a little bit over DK, or maybe underthrew it, and he cut in front of him. It was a hell of a play by him. Hell of a job by Malik, too, getting in the pick. I thought a rookie stepped up big time today, all of them. But Bernardo was huge coming in for Mooney. Mooney was a game-time decision. Tried to get him going. He tried to go, but the workout didn't go well before the game, and Bernardo and the whole defense stepped it up.
Your team has faced some of these games before, early in the season when things aren't going right, has won a lot of them. Is that something you communicate to them, or do you feel it in a week like this where this team just has the feeling that it's going to be able to pull a game like this out?
No, I mean, you know that we're sick about those 2 losses that we had, and we know... I talked about some losses are harder than others, and when you feel like you had those won, especially division games, that's made us sick about it. And, we've gone on a stretch here the last 2 years where we've won a lot of games in a row, and a lot of the fourth quarters and some of those win streaks these last 2 years haven't been that tight. Guys have been able to relax a little bit and stuff, and we've been talking about how these 2 losses are a reminder on how the NFL works. And I think we got a little spoiled in that way of just human nature of sometimes feeling too relaxed, and you can never feel too relaxed. I thought we played real well in the second half, but that doesn't mean it's easy to win. It's that's how it works. We played well. They played well. They came back and made some plays, which made it tighter, and I was glad that our guys could fight through that, realize that games are really never over where you can just sit and chill in the fourth quarter. You got to go beginning to the end, and we got that experience today.
What did you see from Gendo? Did you feel like he was on the verge of breaking a big one?
You always feel like guys are close. We were running the ball pretty well all day. When they're going to really commit to stopping the run and try to get in those 8-man fronts. We got a good bounce read where we got outside, and usually when there's not 2 safeties there, which I don't think there were, you break them, and he's got the speed to do it. Said he's an eyelash slower than Raheem, and they had a pretty fast guy chasing him, but he said he wanted to give that to Juice, so it ended up working out well and got to run more time off the clock.
You want to see him slide there at the end?
Hell no, we want him to score, and I don't think he slid, and that's what he's claiming. I think think 21's a fast player, and he got him a little bit there at the end, I think. I'll see it. You guys saw it. But ended up working out better for us.
Given how well Mooney has matched up with DK, was there some pregame concern about how you're going to deal with Metcalf?
Not really. I mean, it's, he wouldn't have done that anyways tonight, just, being on an injury. And I think Demo's one of the best corners in the league. I love Demo, and we got a young rookie in Renardo stepping up. I think Ike's done a hell of a job, and I think we got a lot of players in our secondary.
How close was it with Travarius? I mean, we saw him.
It was close enough to where it was a game time decision. He went and worked out, and it was close, but couldn't go.
Another special teams blunder, I guess you would say. What can you do about that now? There's like one a game now. How do you go in there? Do you get involved? What can happen now?
I thought the special teams made some plays today. They got a fumble for us, a huge recovery, which I forget whether that led to a field goal or touchdown. Last week they scored a touchdown with a block kick, returned for a touchdown. I thought we didn't have a great kickoff, and from what I saw live, we had an unblocked guy who missed a tackle, and then they hit the lane. So we got to get better at tackling. We'd love to get a better kickoff and stuff, and we got to keep challenging ourselves as coaches, our players, everybody. Especially when you got some guys down on defense, it does. You guys can see that, and it's even worse on special teams when that happens. But we got to do better. But I was still happy they made some plays today too.
Are you challenging the kicker to make a tackle?
Hell no, I don't. I don't know how I feel about that anymore. When they break through and they're the only line left, I would never be the coach that says just let them score. But dang, that's 2 weeks in a row, and I just got his name last night, and Matt was unbelievable today. He was 3 for 3 on field goals, and that was huge for him to stop him. I mean, it looked like they could have scored if he wasn't there, so I just hope he's all right.
You got his name last night? Did he last night?
And the first time I've seen him, yeah. But yeah, you guys, I don't waste thoughts on stuff that I don't need to know. Same with all of your injury questions. I really don't learn stuff I don't need to know. So
last one, strategy to have him kick it right at the goal line. You wanted it to be further than that.
Yeah, you'd like that, and it was something that he was struggling with a little bit. So when that happens, you try to get more air on it, so it gives our guys time to get down there. But it didn't work.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, that was Kyle Shanahan postgame, 36-24, the final for the 49ers. Was that Kyle Shanahan talking about how he doesn't need to know the names of all of his players, at least the new ones, like his new kicker, who was great today, by the way?
Kyle Shanahan, congratulations to everybody out there who's super plugged into 49ers news. You knew the kicker before Kyle Shanahan did.
He said, I don't need to waste time knowing things I don't need to know. Like the name of one of your key players in a Thursday night divisional game?
The guy you might have to trot out to kick a game-winning field goal?
Yeah, what does he say? Hey, kick, get out there.
Hey, number 35, which, first of all, ew. Hey, number 35, get out there. That's wild.
That's good.
Also, I'm calling shenanigans on Kyle Shanahan.
On what specifically?
Shanahanigans? Yeah, nice, dude.
Nice.
He said he was talking about, he got asked the kind of obvious question about, do those thoughts creep in as they cut it to 6 points?
Yeah.
And he said, I'm not going to go to our last 2 games. Like, I'm thinking about the next play, da-da-da-da-da. It's like, no. We all saw how you reacted when Isaac Gendo broke that run. We all saw it. Like, that was a sigh of relief. He was more tense than any of us. He knew exactly what was going down. He knew exactly, like, hey, we can't run this into the line 3 times. And that's why they ran the outside zone. They wanted to score there. That's a home run play for them. And that's why they ran that, because he knew, hey, if we run this into the line 3 times and punt it back to them, they're going to get it with like more than a minute left. And he knew. He was there. He was thinking about it.
He was there.
He's lying to all of us and not knowing his kicker's name, apparently.
I love how when they asked him, again, do you go back to like the last 2 games? What do you do? He was like, I don't know. They got us a touchdown last week. It's like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, I get it. They have performed, I guess you could say, better in the last 2 games. They got you a touchdown last week. They got you a forced fumble this week. It's not against Seattle, but I don't think that just like undoes all the bad they've done this year. And you could argue they have lost you 2 games so far. It's like you could be 4-1 if your special teams unit was 20th, not ranked 32nd in football. It's like, what do you mean you don't know what to do, Kyle? Like, yes, you do.
Yep.
There's a clear and obvious decision of someone's got to go. Just say goodbye. It's not hard. It's not that hard.
Yeah. So other updates from Shanahan, we might have missed the very beginning in terms of some of the injury reports with the running back Jordan Mason with the shoulder. He said he was good to go at halftime, came back in, got 1 carry. He said it was a little too painful for him, but he said Jordan Mason was good to go the rest of the game as the emergency running back if they needed him. They did not end up needing him, although it looked like they might for a certain point when Gendo was struggling through much of that second half. He, of course, broke that 76-yarder, and the rest is history. So it looks like maybe he has avoided something serious. Shanahan did say we'll know more tomorrow, so keep an eye and an ear out here on 95.7 The Game for an update on that. Malik Mustafa, who left the game in the second half as well, dealing with a low ankle sprain. The good news that it's not a high ankle sprain, a low ankle sprain. He has since tweeted, Mustafa has, that we're going to be good. So it also seems like he's avoided something major there. And then Aaron Banks, who left the game a couple of times, including for the final couple of drives, I believe. Spencer Burford came in for him. He's been dealing with cramps. So as of now, maybe not anything terribly major, but you never know how things are going to react once you get back on a plane. You fly back to Santa Clara, and they'll all get MRIs, or they'll be looked at a little more closely tomorrow, and we'll get you updates, of course, here on 95.7 The Game. The other funny moment was he said that in the locker room, Isaac Gendo, on his 76-yard run that could have been a touchdown, he's saying Gendo told him that he slid because he wanted to make sure Kyle Juszczyk got a touchdown. Kyle Shanahan saying, I think he's just hiding the fact that he's embarrassed that he got caught from behind because he's supposed to be this speedy guy. It looked to me like he slid. I think his thought was he wanted to kill some clock. The Seahawks, though, still had 3 timeouts. Score the touchdown, make it a 2-score game. Don't worry about any kind of fumbled snap or something like that. But a funny moment there with Kyle Shanahan talking about Isaac Gendo and why the hell he slid down there at the end of the play.
Really good. I couldn't tell. I don't know what you guys thought. It looked like he got tripped up to me, and that was just how he went down.
That's what Kyle Shanahan thinks.
Like it was like he was moving and wondering in his head as he was running, should I slide down? Is a smart play to slide down here? Is the veteran move to slide down? If I get in the end zone, am I going to get in trouble? And then he got his feet. Devin Witherspoon dove at his feet, and he just kind of got hit and went, okay, I'm just going to go down. I'm not going to try and stumble in. That's what I think happened. I think he wasn't 100% sure of the situation. But this is also a good example of why 40 times don't matter. Because Isaac Gendo ripped off a 4.33 40-yard dash. Devin Witherspoon, the fastest one I can find at his pro day, April 5th of 2023, ran a 4.39. And then he ran 4.42 and 4.46 at a private workout in Illinois.
He's so slow.
Yeah, and he caught Isaac Gendo, who's supposed to run a 4.33. It's almost like that exercise.
Fastest guy in the draft this year
does not indicate actual game speed. Crazy.
Well, it's like Debo, right? Debo, like you said earlier, Kyle, no one catches him from behind. It's just
fastest guy in the league.
He's a bigger guy. He's running 4.4. Like football's, it doesn't matter how fast you run as long as you can get down there. But I have a question too. Both, I know there's a break coming up, but what do we consider Kyle Juszczyk and George Kittle's touchdown celebration with their wives? I know they have the Lambeau leap. Do we call it the Lumen leap? Is that what we're calling this one?
Ew,
or no?
Gross.
Yeah, definitely not that. You know what? Let's take the commercial break to brainstorm. We'll come back with ideas
Levi's
on
leap?
the other side. Well, it wasn't at Levi's.
Levi's?
Levi's?
Use these next 6 minutes and we'll figure something out. If you missed it, Kyle Juszczyk and George Kittle, after Kittle's second touchdown, leaped into the front rows of like suites down back behind one of the end zones, and both their wives are waiting for them, and it was a fun moment that was captured by the Amazon cameras. What should we call that celebration? You can hit us up, 888-957-9570. We've got 30 more minutes of overtime with you here on 95.7 The Game. We got game balls to hand out, and there's a lot of deserving guys that deserve game balls, so stay tuned for that as we roll along on overtime. Mark Randy, Kyle Madsen, Sterling Bennett, Niners victorious in Seattle. More OT next on 95.7 The Game.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible. It's happening. Comcast Business. Powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 10/13/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eco bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
Now it's time for the closer of the week. Presented by LiftMaster and RNS Doors. Turn your garage into the envy of the neighborhood. Visit rnsdoors.com.
This week's closer comes from Jill from San Mateo. Had a garage door upgrade today with the amazing Jason. He was professional, personable, and his work was exceptional. He listened to my needs for the job and went beyond the call of duty to help me out. A+ work from an A+ expert. Recently, my garage door opener was not working. I was in need of a closer. I was put in touch with RNS Doors and they hooked me up with a brand new garage door opener from LiftMaster. With LiftMaster's MyQ connectivity, my garage door opener can be controlled right from my smartphone. You'll know when a door or gate has been left open and can close it with a tap, no matter where I am. Be one of the first 10 callers and receive 20% off a LiftMaster garage door opener.
Call 1-800-FIX-A-DOOR. That's 800-FIX-A-DOOR. Or visit rsdoors.com. R&S Doors. Look for the red truck.
Do you have $10,000, $20,000, or $30,000 in debt? Then listen to this. You may not be required to pay it all back.
I was drowning in debt.
I had over $36,000 in debt.
If I would have just made the minimum payments, it would have taken me 59 years to pay off.
Whether it's credit card, medical, or personal loan debt, National Debt Relief can help significantly reduce what you owe. In fact, debt relief payments can be 50% less than your monthly credit card payments. That's right, half as much as you're paying now.
National Debt Relief reduced my debt by over $27,000.
With National Debt Relief, you have a powerful team that knows how to talk to your creditors.
National Debt Relief, they got me out of debt.
More than 550,000 Americans have used National Debt Relief to reduce their debt. Call 800-649-6464 to see if you qualify to settle your debt for a fraction of what you owe. 800-649-6464. That's 800-649-6464.
What's the matter, Kate?
I think John is cheating on me.
Why?
He claims to suddenly have ED, but he used to be an animal.
Oh, maybe he has low testosterone, a normal part of aging. Ken had that problem, and at Balanced Medical Solutions, they ran labs and evaluated him for only $99, and he found a solution that revived him completely.
Guys, why suffer? Regain your vigor today. Call now, 510-679-3300, or visit balancedmedicalsolutions.com.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. I've helped many guys with ED in my 12 years of practice. But now you can get world-class care for ED 100% online by going to hims.com. So what are you waiting for?
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy.
Navien tankless water heaters, the proven leader in condensing technology. Request a Navien because you deserve the best in endless hot water delivery. Learn about Navien's condensing tankless water heaters and find a Navien contractor at tanklessmadesimple.com.
Count on Navien. Snakes, zombies, public speaking. The list of fears is endless. But the real danger is in your hand when you're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is what's really scary and even deadly. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Purdy, deep drop, sideline, open, Kittle, down the sideline. He goes bouncing off the Seahawks. And another big play with Kayvon Wallace making the stop there.
Now back to Overtime with Grandy, Madsen, and Bennett, with sounds from the locker room and your calls at 888-957-9570. Overtime continues now.
Welcome back. Niners knock off the Seahawks 36-24. The final score, they're now 3-3. And as we currently stand first place in the NFC West, they are 3-3 with the Seahawks. But because of this win tonight, they have the tiebreaker for the moment. The Arizona Cardinals, though, they could move into first place in the NFC West if they were to win on Sunday, because they would also be 3-3 and they would have the tiebreaker in that one. But for the time being, the 49ers are first place in the NFC West, and that is good news. I wanted to go back really quick, guys. It was something that I think it was Filmo Mike, who maybe an hour ago now.
Shout out to Filmo Mike.
Yeah, great call as always. Talking about DK Metcalf, talking about DK versus Debo. DK is soft, man. Oh my God.
So this is going to sound like, I promise this relates to you. I do a podcast, Candlestick Chronicles. Uh-huh. We had Fred Warner on the pod over the offseason. And I asked him about, remember last year when he got into it with DK Metcalf at Levi Stadium?
Yeah.
And DK got in his face. We were talking about trash talking on the field and stuff, and I brought that up, and he said, DK doesn't really talk trash. He just goes, I'm big. And that's the extent of his trash talking. So I think I'm with you, Mark. I think DK Metcalf is just kind of soft. I don't know. He's obviously a good player, but I don't know. I've never been that impressed with him. I don't know if the Niners just have his number, if they just know how to get under his skin to make him ineffective. But I think that's just kind of it. I don't think he has that kind of smoke. He's just big and strong, and that's kind of the extent of what he has to offer.
Yeah, I'll go to you in a sec, Sterling, but there was a couple of plays. There was one where he had a deep ball down the middle part of the field. It was late in the first half. He was open. He had a couple of steps on, I think it was George Odom who was in for Mustafa at that point. And it wasn't the perfect throw by Geno. He didn't lead him, and if he led him, it's a touchdown. DK had steps on George Odom. The ball is not totally in front of him, but it's catchable. And DK kind of just fades away and doesn't even ever actively try to go up and get the ball. He just kind of sat there, waited for the ball to come into his chest. And because of that, George Odom managed to break it up. There's no aggression from DK Metcalf. And with his speed, his size, his athleticism, his strength, it's just shocking to see. And he's obviously a very talented receiver, but there was a couple, that was just one. There was a couple of moments, Sterling, in this game where I was just shocked by DK Metcalf's lack of just aggressiveness and physicality and lack of trying hard. It shocked me.
His physique is very aesthetics only. He never actually uses it to make plays. And this may be kind of a low blow, but I always go back to his mouth guard when he first got into the league. It was a pacifier. He plays like a baby. When you have dogs like Fred Warner and in previous iterations, Mooney Ward last year on Thanksgiving, just locking him down, which, those are all great players, right? But you're DK Metcalf, you're playing at home, you should have some pride, and I'm going to come out and I'm going to establish myself. I am the number one receiver on the Seattle Seahawks. And sometimes it feels like he is so easy to erase from big games. Mm-hmm. The last time I can think of DK taking over a game was Dallas last year. I think it was in Dallas. And that's one game out of a 18-week season. I don't think he's ever had a big game really against San Francisco. The last time he's really hurt the Niners was at home last year when he was covered by Ambry Thomas on the first drive of the game. They make a switch. He catches 2 balls the rest of the game. He's, despite his physique, one of the easiest receivers to erase almost off the field, to a point of Kenneth Walker is having a better game than he was. And Kenneth Walker didn't have a great game by any means. He wasn't bad, but San Francisco knew Seattle wanted to run the football, and they took care of it. It's DK, for as big as he is, plays very, very small.
Yeah. You brought up Kenneth Walker. I mean, we talked about the Niners defense. How about just specifically the run defense? Man, it was really, really good. Kenneth Walker 14 carries for 32 yards, 2.3 a carry for a really good running back. Zach Charbonnet, 5 for 20. He had a better yards per carry on fewer attempts. But all in all, the Seattle Seahawks rushing attack, 20 carries, 52 yards, 2.6 per carry.
With them running no huddle at times, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We can talk all we want about the 36 points scored by the offense, and this time they weren't aided by a special teams touchdown, and there was a moment where the special teams did set them up with good field position and all that, and the offense was good. I'm not saying they weren't good. The defense was the star of this game for me, and you look no further than DK Metcalf's line, 11 targets, 3 catches. 11 targets, 3 catches, 48 yards. And aside from the 30-yard bomb he got to begin the game, 2 catches on 10 targets for 18 yards the rest of the game. And I think those both came in the fourth quarter when they were running hurry up and the Niners were content giving them 8 yards underneath every single time because they just didn't want to allow a 40-yard touchdown. They wanted to kill some clock, and they did that. But also the run game, the run defense, 20 carries, 52 yards for the Seahawks, 2.6 per carry. We can go back to week 1 against the Jets, which was a solid defensive performance, and Fred Warner was superhuman week 2 in the Vikings. Everyone else defensively was bad. This was, I think, far and away for me, the best defense for the 49ers all season long, and it should earn Nick Sorensen a little bit of a break from all the conversations around his job. Obviously, through 6 weeks, it hasn't been sterling, no pun intended, all season long. Yes. But tonight was very, very good, and it seemed like Nick Sorensen had an upper hand against the Seahawks and Ryan Grubb, their new offensive coordinator, almost all night long.
So the whole thing in Seattle this week, in talking to people who follow the team and cover the team, was their lack of commitment to the run game. I think they ran it 7 times. They had 68 plays and 7 runs against the Giants.
Kenneth Walker, RB1, 5 carries last week.
So the whole thing was a commitment to the run. It was so clear early on tonight it wasn't going to work. And they just were, it was so old school. It was no, we're establishing the run. And it's all right, go ahead. It's really clear the Niners are going to sell out to stop this. And they did. They did a great job. And that's where Nick Bosa, we're going to bet there's going to be tweets tomorrow about all the pressures. I've already seen one from Next Gen Stats who had him down for 14 pressures tonight, which is the most in a game since Nick Bosa in 2022 against the Rams when he also had 14.
Wow.
So you're going to see all that stuff over the next couple of days. But what he did in the run game today was just as impressive. He was so freaking good. And Seattle it was especially in the second half, it was every time they ran it, it was well, thanks. 2nd and 8, enjoy that. Oh, ran it again. All right, 3rd and 6, there you go. It was never really effective, and they never even broke one. The longest run of the night was 9 yards by Zach Charbonnet. That's magnificent. Really, really nice job by Nick Sorensen and the defensive line as well, and just everybody on the defense. That was a great job.
And to kind of marry the offense and the defense, that's why it was so important to get out to an early lead. Don't let Seattle, who wants to run the football, try to do that. And they certainly tried, but you want to force Geno to throw the football. And he did. And there was some good from him tonight, sure, but there was 2 big interceptions early in this game when it felt okay, how is San Francisco's defense going to play? But back to Kyle's point, Nick Bosa was just a monster today. Mm-hmm. We had been begging the first roughly 4 weeks of the season for Nick Bosa to show up and introduce himself. And the Patriots game, maybe lesser so, but the Cardinals game gets the interception, gets pressures, and was doing his job. And tonight, Nick Bosa has, I guess you can say, gotten himself on the right path the last few weeks, and this team's going to need him. And tonight, he was the ultimate game changer when maybe your linebackers aren't playing great, you have some injuries here or there, again, no Javon Hargrave, you don't have Yetur Gross-Matos. You got to have your boys step up. Nick Bosa was not even changing just the running game or the passing game. He was breaking up screen passes to Noah Fant in pivotal moments, and you're he's everywhere. He's playing linebacker, but he's also playing defensive end. He was so good tonight. Yeah,
there was a tweet a text on the Comcast Business text line from the 707, and this is a couple of hours ago. 707, first of all, love the 707, shout out. I hope you're still listening. It caught my eye. I forgot to bring it up until now, though. 707 says Nick Bosa is overrated. Almost sacks aren't good enough for the top paid defensive end in the NFL. First of all, 707, I understand where you're coming from. Like, you look at the box score, and it's like, Bosa, what did you do today? 4 tackles, 2 QB hits, that's it. Nothing else in the box score. Okay, fair enough. He didn't get a sack. How many times did he impact a play that Geno Smith made? He was the reason that Malik Mustafa had the interception in the first half. The Seattle Seahawks, the first drive of the game, they were going down the field. That was honestly one of the Niners' worst defensive possessions of the entire game. Nick Bosa nearly single-handedly wrecked it because he forced a wayward throw that was intended for Tyler Lockett, went way over his head. Mustafa, playing safety, was able to pick it off. That does not happen without Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa, multiple times, getting... he didn't get any tackles for loss, but the reason other Niners got tackles for loss was because he dominated the edge, forced Kenneth Walker to try to cut back inside, and who was waiting there, whether it was Fred Warner or Malik Collins or at times Devondre Campbell, who still not very good, but the overall defense was better. Nick Bosa, nearly every single good play by the Niners defense, Nick Bosa was involved in some way, and for a majority of them, he was the driving force behind why the Niners won those individual reps.
So the 49ers, the Seahawks score to make it 23-17. The 49ers come out and they punt. They go 3 and out. The Seahawks come back. Zach Charbonnet for 3 yards, Zach Charbonnet for 9 yards. They have a 1st and 10 at their own 30. Okay. Geno Smith throws an incompletion where there's an ineligible man downfield caused by Nick Bosa, who, as you talked about, read the screen and just knocked the tight end down. Was like, nope, there's not a play here. Ineligible man downfield because he was ready for the screen. Okay. So Seahawks now have a 2nd and 10 because the Niners declined the penalty. Zach Charbonnet goes up the middle for no gain because Nick Bosa crashes down and hits him for no gain. That brings up a 3rd and 10 where Geno Smith's pass goes incomplete because Nick Bosa was hitting him as he was throwing. And the Seahawks punt. In a spot in the game where they have all the momentum, where the 49ers desperately need a stop, because if they don't get one and Seattle scores a touchdown, they are now ahead. It is a 6-point game. And Nick Bosa, on 3 consecutive plays, just asserted his will, took over the game, and forced a punt by himself.
Yep.
So we can talk sacks. We can talk pressures. You can say, oh, you did close sacks don't count, except they do. On 3rd and 10, when you get near a sack and the quarterback just throws it away because he doesn't want to get sacked, that counts. That counts. Nick Bosa was awesome tonight. It is so hard to play a better game than he did.
Yeah.
Well, and that drive you're speaking of, where he himself almost forces a 3 and out, that is the drive following the challenge by Kyle Shanahan they don't get.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, okay, everything's not going San Francisco's way. Seattle has all the momentum. Your defense is tired. Your offense can't drive the football. The replay center can't even get things right for you. What else could go wrong? And Nick Bosa's like, you know what? I want to put this drive on my back, whether it's a sack or not. And even on that drive on 3rd and 10, he almost stripped Geno Smith of the football. He was like, oh, crap. And I pick it back up. I was like, throw it anywhere I want to. It was like, oh, my gosh. Like, Nick Bosa, I don't want to say single-handedly, but at least in this drive, single-handedly potentially change the outcome for San Francisco.
Yeah.
And you get late into games like this, you're up by 6 points. What else do you want him to do? You want 3 sacks in a row? Nick Bosa wants that. But he'll take those 3 plays in a row, get the ball back for the offense, and get some points to win the game.
You want to know what's crazy? We've got like less than 10 minutes left, and we have game balls to hand out, so we don't have a ton of time to dive into this. We have been on the air for nearly 3 hours, and Brock Purdy threw for 255 yards, 3 touchdowns, and not turned the ball over, and I don't know if we've ever said his name.
Yeah, he's fine.
Like he missed really he missed a few throws, no doubt. The first touchdown to George Kittle, absolutely incredible throw to the right front pylon. Defender all around George Kittle. And these haters, for lack of a better word, that say Brock Purdy can't throw outside the numbers. You know how hard that throw is from the left hash all the way out to the front right pylon on a line with a defender draped around your intended target? Absolutely picture perfect throw. You could not have dropped it in a better spot. And George Kittle, I mean, as a tight end, elite foot control, body control, getting both his feet in for a touchdown. That was an incredible play. Brock missed a handful of throws. He was not perfect in this game, but we're getting to a point with Brock where he throws 3 touchdowns, does not turn the ball over, and it's kind of like, yeah, that's Brock. Like, that was never the conversation with past Niner quarterbacks. I'm not going to name anybody by name. If any other 49er quarterback did not turn the ball over and threw for 3 touchdowns, that was the leading story on overtime here on 95.7 The Game.
Yeah, man. And just he did a good job tonight, I thought, of extending plays within the confines of the game. It didn't feel like he was running around. I think there was one play I pointed out, like, man, he just spun into a pressure.
Like, chill a little bit.
He could have stepped up, but I mean, for the most part, he's extending plays. He's throwing the ball down the field. I thought he was better at like checking down tonight and taking easier throws instead of trying to push everything into the intermediate and deep areas. I have really no complaints for Purdy tonight. Did he miss a couple of throws? Yeah, but every quarterback does that every Sunday. So Brock was awesome. I don't know, Sterling, maybe you think otherwise, but
I thought he was great.
Perfect.
Now, was he perfect? No, but but I guess coming off a loss against the Cardinals where he threw 2 picks, and there have been times where he has struggled with holding on to the football in the pocket sometimes. Yeah. Okay, not to say like what Brock are we going to get this game. Like, I think everyone has a full confidence in Purdy to come out and do a great job, but if there is a game you're going to struggle, Seattle on the road, this is a game, man. Brock, through his couple years of starting now, has a history of coming into Seattle and playing a heck of a game. Rookie season, broken ribs, clinch a division. Last year, Thanksgiving, gets a big win. This game is another big win. I think it is the 8th time in his career he has thrown for 255 or 250 plus yards and 3 touchdowns. That's crazy. And that, to me, like, that stat line is one I've grown just, it's so common to read that. Oh, it's a common Purdy game now. 3 touchdowns, no picks, and 129 rating. Like, that to me is a quintessential Brock Purdy game where, yeah, he's not perfect, but pivotal moments, backs against the wall, he will be the one to help take you to victory. Yeah, the defense will help him, but again, that first touchdown was just it was a laser. It was just right where it needed to be. And you're like, if that's how Brock is playing with the precision he's playing with, it's going to be a long day for Seattle, which it wasn't a long day, but it wasn't the easiest day for them either.
Yeah. How about this? Most games with a passer rating of 120 or higher in a player's first 3 seasons in NFL history.
I love this.
Brock Purdy tied with Russell Wilson for the most ever. 12 such games. Brock Purdy did not start to begin his first season, and checks notes, it's only week 6 of his 3rd season. So I guarantee you, by the time his 3rd season is over, he will stand alone for the most games with a passer rating of 120 or more in a player's first 3 seasons in NFL history, and there's a number of other numbers we can go through, but that's one that stood out to me. Brock Purdy, just on an incredible beginning to his NFL career. Okay, guys, it's time for game balls. As always, we'll start on the offensive side of the football, and we will start with you, Kyle. Offensive game ball number 1. We'll give out 2 for each side. Who gets your first game ball on the offense, Kyle?
I got to give one to Isaac Gendo, man. 10 carries, 99 yards. He rips off the 76-yard run that kind of seals it on a play that we had been talking about all night. Like, man, how does he never hit that? Like, they keep going to it. Maybe he's just not got it. Maybe it's just another 4th-round running back that they missed on, or mid-round running back that they missed on. And then in the biggest spot, like the biggest carry of his career, he rips off a 76-yard run that probably should have gone for a touchdown. Yeah, shout out to Isaac Gendo, man. That was big time.
Yeah, like the pick. Sterling, game ball on offense for you.
Sorry, Sterling. That was your guy. That's my bad.
Sorry, it's okay. I'll pick the guy that got in the end zone twice tonight. How about George Kittle? 5 catches, 58 yards. Again, 2 clutch touchdowns. I got San Francisco on the board in the red zone twice tonight, which has been their Achilles heel offensively all year long. Got the first touchdown, almost had the last touchdown, but darn you, Kyle Juszczyk and Isaac Gendo. But in 13 games against the Seahawks in his career, George Kittle has 56 catches for over 800 yards and 7 touchdowns.
Not bad.
It's pretty good. And talk about a game to come out and just assert yourself on a defense you've dominated through 13 games, 12 games into your NFL career. Like, George Kittle has been eating the Seahawks defense alive since he got into the NFL. And another big game in prime time for him. So he'll get my game ball.
Yeah, I like it. A couple of good picks there. I'll give I guess there's a couple of other touchdown scores. I'll go with the first touchdown scorer in this ball game, and that's Debo Samuel. He only had 3 catches, but he turns those 3 catches into 102 yards. Of course, the big one was the touchdown, 76 yards out. He got behind the corner, found a soft spot in the zone. The safety came over to try to help, and maybe he got caught between trying to make a play on the ball or hit Debo, wanted to avoid a late hit or defensive pass interference. Whatever the reason, Debo made the catch. A good ball from Purdy. He made a man miss, and then as you guys are talking about, he's faster than you think he is, especially when he has the ball in his hands and his sights set on the end zone. Debo Samuel turned on the Jets, and he turned that into a touchdown to get the Niners going. 3 catches, 102 yards, and that touchdown. He also had 4 carries for 15 yards. Not the most dominant day for Debo, but you felt like in a game like this against the Seahawks in Seattle, Thursday Night Football, those are the days when Debo Samuel is at his best, and for me, he gets a game ball. I know I said 2 game balls on each side of the ball for each of us. We don't have time for that. So let's go over to defense now. I'll go first, and I'll take the easy one. We've already given every single reason why. I mean, it's Nick Bosa. He was the best player on defense. Apologies, Fred Warner. You were also very good. I'm sure one of these fine gents will give you a game ball because you're deserving of it. But Nick Bosa was the game record that the Niners are paying him to be. And even though it does not show up in the stat sheet, I plead with all you Niner fans, know that Nick Bosa was the driving force behind the Niners' best defensive performance of the season. Don't let the 24 points scare you either. This defense was great, and Nick Bosa was reason number 1. So he gets my game ball. Sterling, who gets your game ball on defense?
How about the young man that set things up for the offense to give you a larger lead in the fourth quarter that changed the momentum in this game? Renardo Green, a guy that I think has a lot of Mooney Ward traits, steps in for Mooney Ward and is a big part of shutting down DK Metcalf. And you look at his stats, it's not going to be like, oh my goodness, they're going to wow you, but 6 tackles, 2 pass deflections, and again, that big INT to set up a big touchdown for San Francisco. So I think it may have been his first NFL career start. If I'm wrong, it's certainly his second, but a big game for Renardo Green. Agent Zero, if you will, in this game for him. Yeah. So a nice game.
Like the pick. Kyle, who gets your defensive game ball?
Yeah, we're wrestling Agent Zero back from Gilbert Arenas, who sucks. That's a great work by you, Sterling. Darrell Luter Jr. with the forced fumble. No, I'm joking.
Rocky scene.
George Odom. No, I'm going to go a little hipster here. George Odom gets my game ball.
Okay.
Dude stayed ready. So he was the starter throughout training camp at strong safety with Talanoa Hufanga out. Yeah, no, I'm dead serious, Chris. So he was the starter through training camp, loses that job when Talanoa Hufanga comes back, obviously, but then gets leapfrogged by Malik Mustafa.
Yeah.
Mustafa gets hurt tonight with Talanoa Hufanga already out. George Odom comes in, a couple of big pass breakups, including one in the end zone. Dude stayed ready, and salute to him.
Okay, I like it. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting someone to pick Fred Warner, so I'll give him a quick...
I'm bored with Fred Warner.
I mean, I guess that's an obvious one. Give him a quick shout-out. Who else deserves a shout defensively? Lenore deserves a shout.
Mustafa.
Diamador Lenore was very good. Malik Mustafa deserves a shout-out as well.
Demo was awesome.
Demo, he's just consistently good now.
His PFF grade tomorrow is going to be through the roof.
He is consistently good.
That one run stop where he knifed in and just...
Oh, my God.
That was so sick.
As I told you guys as we were watching the game, those Oregon Ducks, they love playing in Seattle.
Boy, dude,
you know what I'm talking about.
Ducks! Go Ducks!
You are right about that. They love playing in Seattle. Yeah. All right, that's all we got time for today. It was awesome to be back on overtime with a Niner win. 36-24 is the final score. Now we got some time off because the Niners are now enjoying a mini bye as they gear up for the Seahawks in week number 7. We'll have overtime for you coming up Sunday afternoon after that game. Looking forward to that. Kyle, Sterling, been a pleasure as always. Awesome hanging out with you all night long. Shout out to everyone behind the scenes as well. Carter and Steven and Cam in the back. We got a Victory Friday edition of 95.7 The Game coming up tomorrow. Looking forward to that. But until then, for Kyle, for Sterling, my name is Mark Randy signing off. Congrats on a win to the 49ers, and thanks for tuning in to Overtime here on 95.7 The Game.
There are so many things I love about fall weather. The crisp air, the changing leaves. It's all so magical. Until my kids catch a chill outside. That's where Kohl's comes in, with cozy layers, warm jeans, and more. I found all the styles my kids need when the seasons change. Plus, I got 20% off with a coupon and earned Kohl's Cash. So here's my style forecast. Prep better for fall weather at Kohl's. Select styles. Offers end October 20th. Some exclusions apply.